what is happening in other jurisdictions and what happens or what pertains particularly here in Ghana. As you may be aware, there are so many different ways through which members of parliament across the continent are supported. We have parliaments where MPs do not have research assistants like, MPs in Ghana do have. We have parliament, so I mean, you go to the parliament of Sierra Leone, you go to the parliament of Benin, you go to the parliaments, most of the parliaments across West Africa, where you will not find out and out one person allocated, as research assistant to the member of parliament. And then you would also go to parliaments like the Parliament of Liberia, where you have as many as, and usually when I say this, people raise eyebrows and they wonder whether we are really talking about Liberia. But you can have a member of parliament having a support staff of about 12. If the person is not in leadership, if the person is in leadership, we are looking about 16, 20. And so it includes a chief of staff, it includes, the research person, it includes the driver, the cook, it includes the one in charge of constituency-related work, it includes the secretary in their parliamentary office, in Monrovia, yali. But of course, the literature across has been on whether it is that kind of research assistantship that is needed, or the Ghana kind of research assistantship that is needed, or the Westminster kind of research assistantship that is needed, or perhaps the kind of research assistance that is offered to members of the U.S. Congress that is needed. Because, of course, in the case of Liberia, like I pointed out, when you're a member of parliament, all of these people, all of these 12, up to about 20 people are supposed to come from your constituency. It's usually a job for the constituents, so that at least you can be able to show that because you became a member of parliament, some 12, 15, 20 people from the constituency have gotten some job. But they are, as usual, on our continent, poorly resourced, poorly capacitated, and what have you. So these MP Research Assistance trainings are one of those initiatives that we implement at Parliamentary Network Africa to help bridge the gap. Because we clearly understand that members of parliament need real support to be able to do their work. We clearly understand that this support, when it is not effective, can really be very, very, very counterproductive. And we clearly understand that when members of parliament do not get the support as much as they would need it, then things do not go on the way that we all expect. And then in the end, citizens will come back and say our parliament is not doing very well, our parliament is very bogus, our parliament is ineffective, our parliament passes laws that are not, aligned to the day-to-day issues of governance and of members of the public and what have you. But what do you expect from a member of parliament who is expected to deal with matters from archaeology to zoology, right? I mean, in parliament, there is forestry issues, and the MP is supposed to know forestry, and he's supposed to know agriculture, and he's supposed to know mineral resources, and when sports comes, he's supposed to speak to sports, and he's supposed to speak to education and health and what have you. It is practically impossible, to be able to have one individual who would be master of all of these. And it is practically impossible to have one single individual, or in some instances I have noticed with some of the offices, maybe 2 or 3, who are supporting this one member of parliament to deliver on all of these mandates. But, well, that is what we've got. And how do we use what we've got to be able to, deal with some stuff? My friends would say that when they do not get champagne, they probably will have to see how they can pop Coca-Cola, because in the end, when you shake the Coca-Cola bottle and you open it, at least you hear the poof. When the poof comes, you can serve yourself. So how do we use the Coca-Cola that we've got in this context to be able to have that champagne experience that we are all looking for? And as civil society organization whose mandate is to provide public goods, public services, like we are doing, these are some of the things that we do. And that is why this is a free, initiative intended to highlight on a few things. We may not go, we may not be able to cover all of these, because as you may see in some of my slides that would follow, this training for research assistants is a comprehensive multiple days training, which at PN Africa we have developed into a boot camp kind of situation. Of course, further details on that may be coming up, sometime later. I was telling the team that perhaps we would have felt more encouraged to still pursue that long-term boot camp situation if the responses from research assistants on the need for this was more encouraging than we currently find. But, well, perhaps, it is very necessary for those of you who have been able to join us in here and those of you who have joined us virtually via Zoom. So these are the areas that I would be speaking to, and I hope that it will be very interactive because, look, you are the research assistants on the ground. You know, you experience on a day-to-day basis what the members of parliament experience. I work as an external person, working with various parliaments, bringing various perspectives, but how do these perspectives connect to the day-to-day realities that you face? So I'm expecting that this will be very interactive. Feel free to, you know, interject at any point in time to ask a question, to make a contribution, so that this will not be like a lecture, but rather it will be a very interactive, you know, session. Okay, now, having said that, let me now quickly, and I've already started doing that, walk you through PN Africa and what we do. Of course, PN Africa is a parliamentary monitoring civil society organization. I've already explained to you what a parliamentary monitoring civil society organization is. Every one of us within the civil society space are civil society organizations, NGOs, community-based organizations, and what have you, the CDDs of our times, the IDEX of our times, the Imanis of our times, and what have you. But those of us who do direct parliamentary monitoring work means that of all the work that civil society can do, we specialize with working with parliament. The same way that others will specialize in the security sector, others will specialize in other sectors. And like I've already indicated, we work across Africa. We manage the Continental PMO Network, Parliamentary Monitoring Organizations Network, for which reason we have presence of the network across the 5 regions of Africa. But specifically for West Africa, and because of the context of we doing this in Ghana, we work with all 12 West African countries that are currently not experiencing a coup, with the 3 that are experiencing a coup being the exception. There are 4 main priority areas in which we work as an organization. Some of these priority areas we implement in Ghana. Some of them we implement in other countries. Some of them, in some countries, you can also find semblances of all 4 of them. So one is we deal in parliamentary institution strengthening and support. So this is an example of parliamentary institution strengthening and support, where civil society create such tools to be able to support people who work within the parliamentary institution. We do capacity building workshops for, you know, parliamentary staff, members of parliament sometimes, journalists who report from parliament. We've partnered with the Parliamentary Training Institute many, many times to organize some of these training workshops. And then we also published the Open Parliament Index, which now, like I said, Ghana's parliament is first, but there were many areas that we identified which were gaps. So now we'll support the Parliament of Ghana to address those gap areas, just like we are supporting other parliaments to address those gap areas. So that addresses the issue of parliamentary institutions strengthening and support. We also do convening and knowledge management. What do we mean? We bring civil society organizations together because, like I said, Parliament does archaeology to zoology. So there may be civil society organizations that are working in the extractive industry. But at one point in time, they may have to work with Parliament because there is probably an extractive bill that has been laid before Parliament, or they are trying to lobby on something related to extractives and what have you. So we bring these civil society organizations together, and we help, you know, capacitate them on how parliaments work, opportunities to engage, and what have you. Now, quite apart from that, and that is why we actually manage the Africa Parliamentary Monitoring Organizations Network. We coordinate the West African Network and, of course, the Ghana Network as well. We're also very heavy in media and access to information, media and access to parliamentary information. And so for those of you who were in Parliament at the time when the RTI bill was being fought by us as civil society for its passage, you may have noticed that there was a group called the Media Coalition on RTI, which is a coalition that was actually started and initiated by us at Parliamentary Network Africa, and, you know, helping the civil society coalition to advocate for the passage of the RTI law. But we also train journalists a lot so that they can be able to deliver their mandates quite well. We support press galleries and press corps within various parliaments so that they can be able to do their work well. And for many of you, you may also have seen that your members of parliament keep receiving a copy of a newspaper called the Parliamentary newspaper on a regular basis. It is published by us at Parliamentary Network Africa. So that constitutes the scope of things that we do by way of access to parliamentary information so that citizens can understand what goes on in parliament and how they can engage. And last but not least, we help to also connect citizens to parliament. So doing community engagement, doing town hall, meetings that could bring members of parliament and their constituents together and what have you. And we'll delve very deep into some of these areas, going forward. So we see you as a very important group of people that we must work with, to be able to help us support the Parliament of Ghana. Because over the years, we've been working directly with members of parliament, we've been working directly with journalists, we've been working directly with staff. We've not had the opportunity to work with you as support staff who, on a daily basis are able to engage with your members of parliament. And we hope that this will be a useful opportunity to do so. For those of you who registered online, and we have, in fact, even the physical registration here, and we have your email addresses, be rest assured that these slides will be shared with you, subsequently, including even perhaps the Zoom link, the Zoom recording, just so that you can be able to engage with it, beyond today. So you recall that I spoke about the fact that this training is a multiple-day training for research assistants. On a normal, this is the content of the research assistants training. Why can't I move the green thing away? IT people, can you help me? I don't know why the green thing is not. Anyways, I am perhaps not as. Well, I think I can see it from here, so I can read it out. That's fine. When we organize the modules that have been developed for this research assistance training includes the following, all of the following. That's why it's multiple days. And today we are trying to just condense them into a 1.5-hour presentation, just to be able to give ourselves a bird's eye view of some of these things, and to also, facilitate the engagement. And be rest assured that our office will be open to you 24/7 for whatever kinds of engagements that your office will want to have with the civil society community, with our own office, and respect of what we do, so that we can be able to have a better relationship around some of these issues. So on a typical course for research assistants, we'll talk about issues on what an MP wants and how can you help. You work with your bosses. Sometimes you feel that, am I really satisfying my boss quite well, professionally though? I needed to add that, by the way. And whether I'm doing what is expected of me as a research assistant, we look at issues about the media and civil society. How do you work with them? Press releases, speech writing, media monitoring the media to see what's trending, engaging on social media, interviews. One of the things that I've noticed about our MPs here in Ghana, as compared with MPs that we've worked with in some other advanced places, is that, there's almost zero prepping by their backroom staff when they are going on media programs and interviews. No prepping, virtually zero, so, the media house calls the MP and the Honorable shows up, and then Honorable is speaking. Then Honorable goofs big time one point in time, and it creates a big mess for Honorable and his entire political career and his entire backroom staff because he goofed. Meanwhile, in other places, you would find, Honorable's backroom staff asking the journalists, what are some of the areas that you are hoping to ask my member of parliament questions around? This particular area, please, can we take it out? Can we negotiate? The journalist says, no, we can't take it out. We say, no, please, can you take it out? So that you know that before the MP goes, he has a proper briefing on what he's going to be speaking about. Many times we don't get that from here. But, well, we know that maybe as part of some of these engagements, we can be able to get better around some of these issues. Social media, it's such a big deal. And many of you will notice that some of your peers, the MPs that some of your peers serve, are doing fantastic on social media. And the engagements are going in their direction. Some members of parliament would read a statement on the floor of parliament, they'll take a screenshot of their statement and post on social media, and that statement will get so much engagement. Meanwhile, some members of parliament don't even have an active social media account. These imbalances are quite severe, and we must notice that in this day and age of engaging with people, one cannot run an MP's office without active social media engagement. But we also know that active social media engagement is not a child's play issue. There are people, a friend of mine works with an advertising company. So when you ask him what he does, he says he tweets for a living because yes, his job is to tweet. So that those brands that they they work on can receive mileage. So it's a serious job. How do we support our members of parliament with some of these things? Sometimes we do that a lot. You would mention a handle of a member of parliament on something that they are doing, and their backroom staff is not even noticing it for them to see that this is good for us, so we have to retweet, so that our people will also see that civil society is acknowledging our work that we are doing. All of these things are real big problems. Now, research skills and support for members of parliament at plenary and committee. Very, very important for the work that members of parliament does, and it is part of the modules that gets treated on this program. Parliamentary questions, motions, and statements, where to find help, is also one of those things, and we'll be coming into some of these things. Some of us, we say that our members of parliament are not, you have Odikro published and will tell us that our members of parliament are silent members of parliament, and we are wondering, and we are frustrated because we know that MP is putting in a lot of work, but perhaps it is not reflecting in statements, it's not reflecting in motions. One of the things that we do not know is that for many, many, many MPs, and we have done that a lot, some of these statements are written for them by civil society, and presented to them to present on the floor of parliament by civil society, because civil society does all the background research. The MPs and their officers are availing themselves. They are very interested in the subject matter, and so they get that technical support to support them as members of parliament to be able to deliver better on these mandates. So these are also opportunities that are available, and we'll be speaking more to that. Colleagues, you can join on this side also. If yes, I think it's better if you are around the table. It makes it more comfortable for all of us to engage. Thank you and welcome. Other issues about dealing with constituents. Of course, you as RAs know more than I do that some of the very day-to-day work that you've got to do is on casework. And by casework, in real parliamentary parlance, we are talking about supporting your constituents on one matter or the other. A couple of constituents are having challenge with their NHIS. How does the MP's office support that? People coming to MP's office and saying their passport is becoming an issue. How does the MP's office support that? And please, do not be surprised. These casework happen even for Westminster members of parliament, even for members who are doing congressional work in the US Congress and what have you. You have people coming to them and saying that, look, member of parliament, our water connectivity is not proper. We need you to help with that. Yes, we know that the member of parliament is not the one who is providing water and electricity to the people, but he has a responsibility, or she has a responsibility for casework, to follow up on some of these things. How do you support your member of parliament in this regard? Are part of the modules that get discussed in this, visits. Either you are visiting constituency, or you even have some of the school children, or some constituencies visiting, the parliamentary presence. How do you support in that? Town hall engagement, how do you facilitate that? Then, of course, the full course also includes managing the MP's office. Data is the new gold, they say. So database management. How do you know the people that you're supposed to deal with? How do you manage the data? How do you manage public relations? Very, very important. In fact, I have had, over the last decade that I've worked with the Parliament of Ghana, the opportunity to visit a lot of offices in the Parliament of Ghana. And sometimes, I must say clearly, that sometimes you feel discouraged as a civil society person to bring an initiative to certain offices, certain departments, certain units, because public relations in some of these places can be very, very, very terrible. Sometimes people feel that, they are doing you a favor by hearing you out, without even knowing what is coming up, what you are bringing to them, and it turns and puts a lot of people off. But yes, maybe you as a research assistant was not a public relations person in school, or not a communications or marketing person in school. Maybe you did economics like I did, or you did governance, or the kinds of things that may not necessarily, or you did mathematics or statistics, and now you are a research assistant to a member of parliament. How do you get some of those soft skills on public engagement, public relations, because your office engages with people on a regular basis? The full course also deals with issues of caucus and party demands. Of course, you know more than we do that not only are you serving your MP, but there are responsibilities that also need to be dealt with at the caucus level within parliament, but also the political party that your member of parliament also serves. How does that also play in? Work-life balance. We have worked with parliament long enough to know that sometimes our members of parliament have a real challenge with work-life balance. The serious ones, and we have quite a lot of serious ones in our parliament, do a lot of hard work on a daily basis, reading voluminous documents on a regular basis, scanning through, traveling around, and all of that. How do you, as a PA, so to speak, support the member of parliament so that he does not break down? I've seen a clear situation where we're having a session with members of parliament. I will not name the member of parliament involved. We were there in the room with members of parliament. One of the members of parliament had to take the podium to speak, and he collapsed. Of course, we had to block it from the media because it was not a very good thing. But that was a member of parliament who, that week, and it was recess week, so you can imagine, there's been so much pressure, and jumping from one committee, using the elevator, moving around, presenting. The person was in leadership. It can be a real serious situation for them. So how do we strike the work-life balance? Not only for them, but you also. Running around a member of parliament and, sometimes being stopped from using the elevator because, MPs are in the elevator. And then, 10 years ago while I was in the Parliament of Ghana, we used to have a member of parliament who would literally, I don't know whether we have MPs like that now, who would literally tell you, get out of the elevator. Oh, yeah, I can see a lot of no, literally tell you, get out of the elevator. And by then, we did not have job 600. So I'm talking about the elevators in the admin block, and of course, we did not have all those fancy buildings that are now within Parliament. So that elevator in the admin block, you probably are having some materials to send to committee rooms upstairs, and you need to use the elevator, and this woman says, get out of the elevator. You can't, ride with me. But it's not only women who do that. We have male MPs also, by the way. I experienced a female MP who did that to me personally, so I like to cite that example. The concept of open parliament, I've explained to you what an open parliament means. We like to infuse that also in the course that we do for research assistants. Fundraising and other campaigns. Fundraising is a very, very big deal for a member of parliament. In fact, a research published by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy together with CDD Ghana on cost of politics in Ghana, I'm sure many of you may have read that, stipulated that about $85,000 gets spent by a member of parliament to win power. Now, 85,000 USD, when divided by the 48 months that the person will be an MP, because you have only, 4 years times 12 months, so 48 months. So when you do the deduction, we are looking at the month, we are looking at about $2,000, per month. I'm sure that as research assistants, you know the salaries of your MPs. And so sometimes you wonder how they work that magic. If you have to spend 2K per month to do campaign, and we all, I work in civil society, I know the salary of a member of parliament. We know that would then be an uphill task. So certainly the member of parliament will have to find other innovative ways. Sometimes these innovative ways becomes not as innovative after all. The kind of ways that eventually comes to hurt the public. So how do you, as an RA, come to your member of parliament and say, Honorable, I've seen this fantastic fundraising opportunity. I think that we can be able to plug in. And you can imagine the sigh of relief that your member of parliament will have if that actually works. So these kinds of things and other kinds of campaigns. And by campaigns, we are not just talking about political rallies and political campaigns, but what kind of fantastic initiatives can the member of parliament do that can make people have that wow experience? I'm sure that even as research assistants, you see some other members of parliament doing certain things that they put on social media, and you wonder, how are they able to go about this? And our office cannot do same. So we look at innovative ways around these things as part of the program. And then last but not least, as part of the course modules, is working as a parliamentary staffer. Working in that particular house is not a joke matter. At least I have experienced it, and I know that it can be real tough. When you come for, of course, you guys have done 2 years already, at the very least, if your MP is a first timer. But if you've been working with your MP for some time, you've done multiple years, and you know that navigating the labyrinth of the parliamentary enclave is not, child's play. Where to find what, who is in charge of what, which office can deliver what. You know, where is the table office? How can I file my questions? How can I get my MP statements admitted? You know, how are we able to get his absent request, request to absent himself from chamber? How do I do mails room and pick his mails? You know, how do I lobby the chamber ushers to get me access to my honorable member while he's there without the chamber ushers proving as if they are the bosses around and you are nobody? You know, I mean, those dynamics exist, but it's important to be able to understand these things, you know, learning the new role, and even your exit plan. For many of you, if your member of parliament loses his or her seat, of course, you are out of this particular role. I know of a few who have actually swapped MPs or switched MPs because their old MPs are no longer in parliament, but of course they hung around a little bit until they got another office to be able to deal with. Of course, that is not a bad thing at all, because in other jurisdictions, you would find many research assistants who are serving members of parliament in the UK switching from one MP to the other when the MP loses his or her seat, because they are career research assistants, you know, and they are able to tout the career nature of their research assistantship, you know, very well. Dromo, can you please help me? So these are part of the modules that constitute the regular training, you know. But today we are just trying to consume a lot of these into a few hours. And like I said from the very beginning, we want it to be as interactive. Share your experiences. Let's learn together. Let's share together. At this point, I'll pause before I move to the next one. If you have any questions, any need for clarifications, and those colleagues on Zoom, you are not left out. You can simply type whatever questions or comments you have via Zoom. The technical team will bring them to my attention, and then we'll do well to address them. But for those of us in the room, any questions, any comments, any initial thoughts? Any initial thoughts? Excellent. It means that from where we've got into, we are. So I'm now going to delve properly into, you know, the two topics that I am supposed to deal with today. But before I do that, I want to do a little exercise which will involve all of us. And I hope that if they speak through this microphone also, it can work, yeah? Yeah, John can help with that. So we'll do what I call a quick hand of expectations. You know, proud to come in here, receiving the letter, being minuted on by your member of parliament for you to attend, and seeing the topics to be discussed. What were your expectations? Maybe just share one with us. What is your expectation that after today's session, what am I expecting that I leave here with prior to coming? You know, so that at the end of the day, we'll also be able to evaluate to see whether your expectations got met. So let's start with you, sir. We'll go around. Everybody will have the opportunity to say something.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. One of the expectations I had coming here is I will know more about my duties as research assistant, because most of us, after engagement, your boss will even have time to sit down and discuss A, B, C, D. You have to learn certain things by yourself. But as we are here, probably colleagues will share ideas with us, and then we'll learn more.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so I also have a similar expectation, because we hardly get any sort of training in Parliament as research assistants. And I can speak to this particular Parliament. We've not had any form of training for us. So this is an opportunity for me to learn from you, and as well from colleagues as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay, specifically I'm looking at the social media engagement.
Very well.
I think it's also the same with me, like they've said, to throw more light on my responsibilities as an RA.
Okay, so I'm new in the game. I started in December, so I literally know nothing about what I'm supposed to do. So I'm hoping that this training will help me to know what exactly I'm supposed to do. Because sometimes I go to the office, I really do not know what to do. Yeah, so.
Welcome to the game. It's a tough game, I can assure you, but it's enjoyable, I think.
Yeah,
Your other colleagues laughed when I said welcome to the game. They understand it.
with me,
Yeah, we'll glean that eventually at some point in the presentation.
yeah, with me, I think more of social media and what to put on social media for our MP and activities that he or she is going to do in a given sitting. You see, yeah.
Very well.
So I intend to acquire specific skills or knowledge on how to gather information from, let's say, governmental organizations, let's say the ministries, to support your MP. Aside that too, I intend to acquire the knowledge or the skills to how to take advantage of international opportunities. For instance, you see an NGO outside that are into provision of health logistics to some MPs, how I can access some of these international NGOs to also bring on board some logistics to support my boss in case of some of these things.
Very well. And colleagues on social on the Zoom, please do well to type in the chat box, your own expectations. We'll certainly read them out so that we are very clear on what is expected. Yes, boss.
Okay, so I intend to improve on how to get more social media engagement.
Social media engagements. Very well.
Okay. Sorry. I think basically it's just to get enough information on how to practically help them.
How to support
Because they need it.
They need the help. Yeah, I know.
They need
I know.
it, so
MPs
yeah.
need help.
So everything, a touch of everything will go a long way to help. Yeah.
Very well.
I'm also new in the game, so.
You also new. How new are you?
Oh, just a week.
Oh Lord,
So
at least you have a junior,
So I'm hoping to learn more.
Okay.
And then to understand the whole dynamics of this whole
Yes.
thing.
The interesting thing though is that you both joined when I was doing my presentation, so you've not done your self-introductions. So please, just by way of your name, the MP you serve, and of course constituency.
Okay, I'm Nadia Uthkwe.
Nadia Kwe.
Yeah, I serve Honorable Al-Hassan Idi, Salaga North constituency. Yeah.
My name is Tracy Fuga, and the same MP. Yeah, the same constituency.
Excellent. All right, Nadia and Tracy, thank you. So yes, at least this helps to narrow things down for us. And Joanna, can you help me? Do we have any comments on social media on expectations? As they come in, please prompt us so that we can be able, we don't want to leave our colleagues who are on Zoom. We don't want to leave them out of this conversation. So as they come in, gather them for me and then we'll read them out. But I can clearly appreciate the three main areas, how to find resources, information, that are necessary for members of parliament and to provide it to them. Social media, of course, was a big thing. And then, of course, because there is no real orientation or training at the beginning of this for you as RAs, how to find any kind of information that will be helpful is some of the things that you have all indicated that you are looking at. And we are happy that this fits very well into the very purpose for which we had organized this. In fact, I must mention that this was ordinarily supposed to be enjoyed by members of research assistants to female MPs only, of course, for interesting reason. We are implementing a project. It's called the Gender Advocacy to Parliament. It's targeted at female MPs, the 40 of them. And so this was to support their backroom staff to be able to better support them. But we thought that, why not the male MPs also, especially if we cannot have logistics for female MPs, like all 275, IT has taught us that we can be able to have other people listen in. And so, but going forward, we hope to do this for a lot more people going forward. Excellent. So now let's zoom straight into my first topic, supporting your MP throughout the parliamentary term. Of course, your MP has a mandate, the people elected him or her 4 years, he or she is supposed to serve as MP. If he's lucky, 8 years, 12 years, 16 years, 20 years, 24. He's not lucky, 4 years. Just like many members of parliament have had. We've even had members of parliament who came in through a by-election, and by the time of the main election, they were out. So less than 4. So how do you support them throughout the parliamentary year? The parliamentary year is made up of 4 years. You already know, 4 sessions. Every year is a session. In each session, there are 3 meetings. First meeting is very heavy on State of the Nation address. Second meeting is what we usually like to call the bills meeting, because it's very heavy on making laws. Third meeting is very heavy on budget. How do you support them? In between the meetings, they go to constituencies. How do you support them at constituency level? Some of them are on committees. In fact, all of them are on committees. Of course, some of them are on vibrant committees. Some of them are on what they like to call the orphan committees, not too fanciful committees. When I was doing national service in Parliament, after we've all been brought in, and then after HR has indicated who is going where, some people were really sad, because people were wondering, what am I going to do at reception? What am I going to do at, why did they not put me on energy committee? Or why did they not put me on, so we know that feeling. And members of parliament also have that feeling a lot. In fact, we've interviewed so many members of parliament who are so upset. What kind of committees have I been put on? Look at my skill set. Look at me, my stature. And then I'm told that I should go and do the kind of committees that hardly ever meet. If the committees do not meet, how do I bridge the 85,000 USD campaign resources gap? So it's a real dilemma. But we know that our bosses also don't want to leave Parliament, at least not now. Of course, there are some of them who have served for a while, they find reason to leave. But then the general thing is that members, even in these difficulties, still want to stay, right? How do we support them throughout the parliamentary term to ensure that they can win the next elections, to ensure that things are going on fine for them? Now, I like to use this. Now the black thing is blocking me again. Now there's blocking me well. But unfortunately, I don't see why I am unable to move it from here. Is it that? Good. Excellent. I call this the Kevin Andrews revelation. Kevin Andrews revelation. Kevin Andrews recently delivered a lecture to newly elected members of parliament in Kenya, under the auspices of the Commonwealth Parliamentarians Association, CPA. As we know, Kenya just held elections, and so new MPs were elected in Kenya. And CPA invited Kevin Andrew to deliver a presentation. And he focused on 5 things he wished someone had told him when he was first elected to Parliament. Now, who is Kevin Andrew? Kevin Andrew served in the Australian legislature from 1991 till last year, 2022. So he was around for 31 years, serving as a member in the Australian Parliament. Of course, he had held so many, as you know, in the case of the Australian Parliament, it's pure Westminster style. So he had held, some ministerial positions. He had been leader of the House in their case. They call it father of the House. And he has also even been father of Parliament. The issue of leader of the House and leader of government business, kind of thing in him. And he shared 5 things that he wished somebody had told him before 1991 when he came to Parliament, and was wishing to share it with members of Parliament. You are not members of Parliament, but I thought that this was important, for our presentation. Because think about it, 5 things I wish my boss had known, or 5 things that I should think about regularly because my boss should have known, and maybe he does not know. So how do I support him or her to be able to know these things? These were the 5 that Kevin, highlighted. And you can always check out the link there to read, in depth about these 5 things. The thing about MacBooks and how they can sometimes make you look ridiculous. Great. So these are the 5. First of all, he says he wished he had known that he needed to take a constituency-first approach to decision making. Nobody told him that much. So yes, although he did 31 years in Parliament, sometimes at the very early stages, he was rather, looking at the broader country, and then constituency was suffering. And then some of his colleagues, constituency suffered, and then constituency showed them shege when it was time for constituencies to show them that, yes, this is where you came from, really. Then he says that he wished he had known that there was a need to have patience and work collaboratively with colleagues. Parliament is a patient job. Working collaboratively with colleagues, not going solo all the time, can usually bring you a lot of very big successes. He wished that he had chosen an area of policy expertise and done his homework on these. And this is one of the places where sometimes I wonder whether our members of Parliament do not know. Some MPs have chosen their areas of expertise and they are flying. And some MPs, we don't know what their areas of expertise are. And this particular subject matter, I would really want to highlight a lot on, because it could be one of the ways that you could take advantage of resources available to civil society to support your MP. Now let's do a small quiz here. When you close your eyes and you hear foreign policy, foreign affairs matters and all of that, which MP will come to mind? Sorry? Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, it's in unison. I mean, it's not in doubt. Somebody will say, but he is ranking member for Foreign Affairs Committee, and so what? If you hear public finance, a few names may come to mind, I guess, and we know them. For us in civil society, if we also mention open governance or the civil society champion in Parliament, we know them. Do you know why this is important? There's so much opportunity within civil society for MPs who are recognized as champions in specific areas, because civil society wants to run along with them. They will invite you to virtually all their workshops. They will invite you to virtually all their travel opportunities around that particular subject matter, because they want to build your capacity. Unfortunately, many MPs live their 4 years or whichever number of years without recognizing this. I know MPs who travel anytime civil society needs to do something around reproductive health anywhere in the world. At least I know one MP. Every reproductive health related thing is there. And he's a male MP. I know an MP or two MPs who anything around open governance, I explained to you open governance, we will carry them along. We'll buy their tickets. We will accommodate them. We would, because we want them to glean the knowledge to become the champions. But if your MP is not known for that one thing, then, it becomes problematic for who to, so think about it as one of your big assignments. If your MP is not known for that one thing, what is my MP good at? What one thing do I know that, look, my boss knows? And you see, this expertise area, you don't have to be in leadership. You don't have to be a popular MP, so to speak. All you need is that you know that you have real expertise in that area, you are passionate about that area, and for which reason you want to support every work around that area. And then we can help you map out civil society organizations and other development partners who are interested in that area so that they can be connected to your MP. There are many times that we have civil society organizations within our network reaching out and saying, Sammy, so we have a gender project. Who are the 3 gender champions in Parliament? I'll tell them, I don't know. Because truly, I don't know. Or who are the human rights champions in Parliament? Yes, we'll mention Honorable Xavier Sosu because of his human rights work outside of Parliament, and of course he's trying to inject them into Parliament. And so every human rights work, he would go. And we'll think that why is it that some members of Parliament are getting all the opportunities and my boss is not getting the opportunity? Because your boss is not recognized for anything. He's jack of all trades. Yes, he's doing his work as jack of all trades, but he's master for what? And that master that he is for or she is for, who knows about it? So I don't know, but this is a very, very, very important matter which the earlier RAs are able to. I mean, think about going to your boss and saying to him, "Sir or madam, I really know that you are very passionate about climate change. I've seen how you speak about climate change a lot, very passionately. Sir or madam, what do you think about if we are able to frame you as that one climate change champion in Parliament? I've identified these 20 civil society organizations in Ghana and abroad who deal in climate change related matters. I'm willing to set up Zoom meetings with you, with these people, for you to let them know that, look, I am the go-to source when it comes to climate change, so please, let's work together." What do you think your boss would think about you when it's a Friday and you've come to give him or her such good news? I mean, you have different bosses, so let's share maybe 2 or 3 of you. What do you think your boss would think if you tell him or her that? You know. Yes, anybody who wants to share, you know, if you had gone to your boss and said this to him or her, you know, what would he or she say? Oh no, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but just anybody who wants to share.
Well, of course, she would be very impressed and glad. Probably I would get some tip.
You get some, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's a Friday. You get something small. Yes, who else? Who else wants to share something? Yes, please. That's the second person, and then we move on.
I think my boss will say constituency first.
Okay.
Approach.
Good.
So he will be focused on his constituency first. So maybe later he will consider
these things. No, that's a very good point. And yes, let's not fool ourselves. We have MPs who think that number one is the top priority, and nothing else matters to them. And you said your constituency is which one, please? Katamanso. Okay. You see that back road that leads to Ashaiman through that's part of your constituency, right? I live at Amanfro. You know, so if I want to go to Ashaiman, I would go through Amrahia and then, you know, excellent. So if, you know, a community there is talking about, you know, water-related matters, and you go to the MP and you have already done your research and you've seen that there is this actual work that is being brought by GIZ, you know, to do some water-related projects around Ghana, a few places around Ghana, and you've been able to manage to find a contact person, and you've set up a Zoom meeting, you know, with that particular contact person, or even a personal face-to-face meeting with that contact person for the boss to speak with the person. Of course, the boss will think that, yes, Charlie, that is what I'm actually looking for. Because you see, if we expect that our bosses will be the ones doing these background research and finding it, then, you know, I'm sorry. You know, sometimes I hear people ask the question, so these MPs cry that when it is time for correction of votes and proceedings and correction of Hansard, and you find them correcting and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, do they really find time to read this? We know the answers to these questions. No, they don't. No, we all know they don't. We all know that somebody is reading it and somebody is identifying the errors and somebody is putting it down for him so that he comes and in front of the camera, he takes the shine. Of course, that is the job of that somebody anyways. You know, and so we need to start aggravating our minds towards that. Now, Kevin says that the fourth thing is identify and explain a problem before you propose a solution. You know, and of course, here what he really meant was about being very analytical, you know, going deep into the root source of a particular issue, you know, before we start, you know, going out there to be able to deal with issues. And it comes back to the issues of research. You know, there's a matter, our MP wants to present on it. How do we do thorough background research to make sure that even the statement that gets presented, even the delivery, even the constituency work that gets done, you know, we have some deep, deep background information. I am not a member of parliament. I only serve in my small corner as executive director for an organization. But I must say that without my staff, my PA, my project officers, I probably will break down the next minute because I really do not see why the little issues must come to my attention. Somebody should be dealing with the little matters, you know, and bringing me the little matters having been sifted down very beautifully so that I know I can smile with the big issues. You know, and that is what a member of parliament actually looks for. We speak with members of parliament a lot, and sometimes you could see clearly the frustration in their eyes, how they wish that they had somebody who would have read that committee report of 100 pages with overnight and gave them a 2-pager which summarizes the whole thing. How they wish. how they wish that is what they are getting. Somebody who looks at that particular document that they are supposed to deal with and brings them a 2-pager, which within, 10 minutes from crossing over from his office through the elevators to the chamber, he can be reading. How they wish that's what they are getting. Unfortunately, they are not. And honestly, I know that for many of us, there are many, many reasons why our MPs like us and want to work with us, but there are many other things more that we can do to give them that wow effect. And some of these things may include that. Being disciplined about self-care and family time. He also wish he knew that more. And of course, this becomes one of the big, big, big issues for members of parliament particularly. Traveling around, and it's not members of parliament only, corporate people, traveling around, leaving the kids behind, leaving family behind, doing constituency first, doing parliament first, only to finish their term in parliament to realize that, Charlie, they did not take care of the home well enough, or did not take care of themselves well enough. I give you the example of the MP that collapsed, and we have so many of them who you could clearly see that this guy has not slept well. And you could clearly see when he's sleeping, when the car is driving, he's being chauffeured around, or sometimes in chamber. The dark glasses, we know what is going on behind the dark glasses. So we need to look at how best, and these things I found quite profound, and so I thought that it would be one of those slides that I wanted to share in this presentation. So let's hear you. What do you think about these things that Kevin Andrew had to share, and what are your thoughts? I saw two comments in the chat box. Joanna, can you help me assess those comments and what the people were saying? Okay, I have them here. Samuel says, a unique circumstance.
A unique circumstance, and that depending on whether he or she is a first timer, their aspirations will be different, and for that reason, the role of the RA will be different.
Absolutely, Samuel. I completely agree with you on that. At every stage of an MP's life, and we've just realized a typical example, here, where somebody thinks that if his MP heard that particular story, he'll say, good job, my guy. Gets this 50 Ghana for some club beer over the week. Sorry, everybody uses the examples that they are used to, so don't. I would have used Fanta if I was used to Fanta. Get this 50 Ghana cedis for some Fanta. That's an example I'm used to. Over the weekend, while somebody will think that the MP will say, my guy, come on, really? You want me to look at this when Ponkata Manso is on fire? I need better than that. So certainly there are, and you are right. Whether the person is a first timer or a the person is in leadership. Most likely the person is not looking at specializing in an area of expertise to be recognized and to be chauffeured around. They are already going to the CPAs and the IPUs and the ECOWAS and Pan-African parliaments and be moving around all the time. And sometimes they're even tired of some of the travels, But if the person is a first timer and the person wants some level of mileage, what if every civil society organization is talking about, this MP and saying that, Charlie, disability matters there, this woman. Disability matters, this man. Gender matters, this man. What if his support staff is doing everything possible, and because they also know that every disability matter that comes up, social media besun for their boss on that particular matter, so that, disability observance days, social media besun, gender observance days, something go up in for there, consistent, checking out the NGOs who have, articles to put out by way of statement and telling them that, look, please, I can get my boss to read this statement on the floor of parliament. Draft it for us. Your boss looks at it and it's a wow statement. And yes, of course, your boss will not mention that NGO's name on the floor of parliament. We do a lot of these drafts. They never mention our names. We are fine. For us, we are a civil society. We are doing advocacy. So once that message has gotten down, that is the results that we want. And your MP needs the results of being seen as having chalked mileage around a particular subject matter. And so why not? So these things really matter. And Samuel, so that goes to answer your question. Any question, any comment on Kevin Andrews' 5-point revelation? You know, do you agree? Do you disagree? You know, let's make this interactive. Are there any areas that you think that, how many of them applies to your boss? And which one of them do you think that, Charlie, your boss does not care about this, or your boss must not care about this? A few thoughts, please. Let's hear you. The RA for Honorable Jifa Gomashi. Really want to share. When your constituency sometime last year for a gender advocacy to Parliament town hall meeting with your boss. Any thoughts? Oh, you are new. Okay, so yeah, of course. So she's new when it comes to, so she probably didn't witness this particular activity. But any thoughts? I mean, having known your boss, these 5-point areas. I think you should check her microphone. It's off.
The self-care and family time.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like some MPs are a bit close. They don't really share much about their family.
Private matters.
Yeah. So how do you manage that? How do you balance being professional and not going into the MP's space?
A very good question. And like I said, I mean, if we have experiences to share, we should feel free to share. A few things though. Yes, I would be very upset with a staffer who always wants to be intrusive about family, you know, personally, right? But I would not mind, and I'm sharing a personal, I mean, it may not apply to everybody. I would not mind a staffer who has seen that because of my numerous travels, I'm not taking very good care of, because of my numerous travels, I sometimes struggle over parking light or parking for multiple locations. And it could be things as simple as that. Parking for multiple locations in a light manner that I do not get stressed at the airport and what have you. So he finds an article or a 3-minute YouTube video on parking light and, you know, shares with me on WhatsApp. Good afternoon, boss. You know, it may not be the kind of thing that I'm looking for at that particular material time. I may ignore him or her, you know. But of course, when push comes to shove at the time when, you know, parking has gotten me, you know, it's showing me some shaggy, I may remember that, you know, she shared something like that with me, or something that I've read, you know, easy to go by, easy to read. You know, I saw these 5 things I wish somebody had told me when I was first elected to Parliament from this workshop, you know, and it's an article that is under 5 minutes. It's a 5 minutes read. And I felt that, oh, why not share it with my boss? He may, you know, so it may be things like that. It may not necessarily be, boss, how is your husband and how are the kids doing? And, you know, of course, some bosses may not necessarily take it very, very kindly. But please, feel free to share. And that's why we are here. Even those on the Zoom, feel free to share how you have navigated some of these things so that we can all get to appreciate and help us all deal with those kinds of matters. So it could be some of the little things. And please, sometimes let's not think that, you know, our bosses need the big deals. Yes, they need the big deals, but sometimes, the little things, they really, really, really do matter. You know, I mean, the guy is traveling a lot, and anytime he comes back from a trip, you hear him or her complain about headaches or jet lag or what have you. And you've seen some article be about, you know, jet lag, which you find to be useful. You know, that person will find it quite useful. I will find it useful. You know, or you find an article on how to have effective rest on the plane, or how to have that effective sleep in that 20 minutes drive, and all of that. It may be very, you know, what we may consider very trivial, but those trivialities may be very, very important. You know, I mean, let me use myself as an example. So today, my itinerary for today, come to this place and deliver this presentation. Finish with this presentation, and we are doing a Zoom production, which would end around 5:30. Go to another activity from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and then fly at 9:30 p.m. Now, if I need to do this today, and perhaps one of my staffers shared with me something that, you know, plugs into the way my day's itinerary has gone, that person will stick on my mind small. Maybe not plenty. After today, I may forget that person's message, but at least for today, you know. So these things do matter, and I think that we need to encourage more of these. All right, very well. We need to move on. So now, what an MP wants and how you can help. Balancing the core mandate with the political mandate. One of the big issues. We all know what the core mandates of an MP are. In fact, I'll be out of parliament the next elections. If I would do oversight, because he's probably a governing party MP. You know, my party no go see me. Somebody will come and even field somebody to come and contest me. So I'm not interested. I'm more interested in representation or the hardcore political things. You know, so balancing the core mandate with and I'll come back to these things. I just wanted to show the three mandates. Balancing the core mandate with the political mandate is important. These are the things that a member of parliament needs to do. But how am I aware of the political demands of my constituency? Because a one-size-fits-all situation does not work in here. The demands of Jomoro, you know, may be completely different from the demands of Shayo Sudoku is here. Shayo Sudoku is online. Or the demands of there's not die here, right? Excellent. Completely different. So how do I know and how do I recognize when my boss needs the balancing effect on these matters? Because for some bosses, what they need the most from their PA is managing the party side of things for them. Because that's what is stressing them the most. If that is what your boss needs, by all means, support him with that. Because no boss gets more frustrated than a boss whose assistants or PAs or RAs are not supporting them where they need it most. You know, if you're supporting me on the things that I'm doing, I'm okay with. Can you do it better than I do? No. And that's why you are supposed to support me on those areas that I need to be supported on. My job as head of a civil society organization is to talk so that we'll be able to generate resources to be able to do our work. You know, I do that on a daily basis. Maybe one of the things that I miss is that I'm unable to manage my calendar so well. So maybe sometimes I miss meetings because there are too many. If you are supporting me and managing my calendar very well in a way that I'm getting regular promptings on my phone, meeting in 2 hours, that may be what I'm needing from you. Not for you to, you know, be the one doing the talking, which is supposed to be my primary responsibility at a particular point in time. You know, these balancing effects are very, very important. Now, an active MP requires backroom staff that provides support for plenary, committee, and constituency. Because these are the heavy liftings that, you know, members of parliament would prefer that they get some help, you know, with. What is it at plenary? At plenary, they have statements to read. They have questions to present. You know, how are we supporting them on that? And I've told you guys about how, you know, we can deal with matters relating to statements. In fact, let me chip in here that under the gender advocacy to parliament, any member of parliament who is interested in any matter relating to gender, children, women, you know, we are willing and ready to link them up with the civil society organizations within that particular space to be able to curate some of these statements, some of these issues that, you know, can be presented on the floor of parliament. And our office will be more than happy to support you, you know, extensively for you to be able to do that as part of this gender advocacy to Parliament project. In fact, it is one of the things that the project is seeking, to achieve. But quite apart from that, we'll learn later on that our network is made up of more than gender-related CSOs, and so you can even get support for other things rather than gender-related stuff. And we'll be more than happy to hear from you and link you to the right person for these things to be done. At committee level, voluminous documents, various reports that have been referred to the MP. Like I'm saying many, many times. You see, over the weekend, I'm citing this example. Over the weekend, we got a proposal that we needed to review as an organization. It was a 45-page document that my colleague had shared with me that, Sam, please take a look at it. The deadline is in 1 week. So, of course, that colleague knows me very well, and he knows that if he leaves it as that, I'm very upset with him. So a few hours later, in fact, he had just seen it, so he thought that he needed to share with me first to prompt me that we are just a week away. A few hours later, he says, Sam, this is a 2-pager summary of what the 45-page contains. Then I knew that he knows me quite well. Because there was no way I was going to read a 45-page on a weekend, and the deadline is coming. But the 2-pager, I certainly read, and I clearly understood what the 45-page is all about. It's his job to deal with the matters, relating to the 45 pages. MPs need this. And most often than not, when we meet them in committees, they tell us. They tell us that civil society, don't bring us advocacy documents that are 100 pages. How do you condense it into a 2-page infographic that I can be able to look at, and immediately I know that, oh, okay, so these are the issues. Because Onimre, he's got no time. So he doesn't need that way. How do you take up that extra burden for your boss to feel better served at committee level? Of course, at constituency level, many of you, your work is just limited to, parliamentary enclave. Some of you, your work extends to constituency. Some of you do both and all of that. How do you find the big issues around the constituency and help MP to be able to nose around and deal with matters relating to that? Helping to save the boss some time is what any boss needs from an ideal personal assistant. Reading, it takes me about 5 minutes to read a page. Normal human being will be usually 5 minutes to read a page. So how many minutes would it have taken me to read that 45-page document? That would be 45 times 5. So that's what, my math's not as good. 225 minutes. And 225 minutes is what? 4 hours? 4 hours is half-day job. That 4 hours can do quite a lot for the organization. So if somebody could just make me read that in 10 minutes in a 2-pager, that's saving me time. And really, truly, that's what our people are actually looking forward to. And we need to look at ways that we can be able to help and serve them on. Being a solution finder, thinking ahead. Sometimes we join in the chorus. The MP is frustrated. He's looking for that particular solution. And we also join in the chorus and say, hey, boss, it's true. This thing is very difficult. This work that they keep giving you people at committee, so difficult that I wonder how sometimes you people are able to manage this. Don't they think that you people too are human beings just like them, and every day they'll be loading you people with this and that and that and that. Meanwhile, the guy is looking for a solution, and you are adding up to be one of the people lamenting. That's not what he's looking for. And I'm sharing these as a combination between somebody who works with a team of people who knows what I expect from my team, plus somebody who has worked extensively around the parliamentary space and also have heard members of parliament talk about similar things. You've got to help be the solution finder and not one who is actually, highlighting the problems or the challenges to the boss. Joanna, please still confirm with me if my screen is still up. Still up. Okay, great. Now, building relationships, where to find what and how. It's also one of the things that your MP actually needs. We've spoken about where to find parliamentary statements, possible ways to find parliamentary statements. We've we are civil society organizations. That's what's happening. Is this from my end? Cancel. Got it. Okay, I think my screen stopped sharing. Sorry, I'll just get that up shortly. Civil society organizations are there who have tons of research materials that are necessary for your, is it back up, please? Which are necessary for your boss's, work. How do you find them? But even within the parliamentary enclave, how do we find, it's up. How do we find, oh, but it's up, that's how it is showing. It is showing in, no, it needs to show. Yeah. Is it now showing? It's still showing this way. That was how it was showing ever since. Okay, I just need. Okay, so we need to find ways through which is it up? Okay, we need to find ways through which we can be able to support, or can it be shared from the technical people's side rather than from my end, because it looks like I am struggling to juggle both. It's sharing. Okay. We need to find ways through which we can be able to support our members of parliament by building relationships. And sometimes some of the relationships that needs to be built is even within the parliamentary enclave. I keep telling people that I knew that I wanted to work within the parliamentary space when I finished national service. But I knew also that I may not survive being a civil servant or being in the parliamentary service. So one of the things that I was very particular about during my 1-year national service in parliament was how to know everybody around and to know what they do. Like how to make every office know me, and me too, I know them, at least to know what they do. And so I don't know how many of you transitioned from being national service people in parliament to become an RA, if we have any here. You did? Okay. One of the jobs of a national service person then, I don't know if it still persists now, was to distribute water. You find them in their nice suits because they are requested to wear suits. And then they are carrying boxes of bottled water from the stores to their offices, But fortunately for me, I worked in table office. And so my responsibility more was when table office needed to communicate to a particular committee or a particular unit or what have you about chamber-related matters. And I was first to tell my bosses that, yes, I want to go. Because if I want to be the one to deliver that letter or message or get that thing signed, I'll be in that office. I'll be able to know that this is Honorable Toffee's office. These are the people in that particular office. At least they've seen my face. The next time I come around, they can be able to recognize that particular face. And it helped me to be able to navigate my way quite well around the parliamentary enclave. And till date, 10 years down the line, I leverage on those things, because the good thing is that people don't change much within the parliamentary space. They stay there until the 60-year retirement term. Those that change are those of us who, we will change eventually because our MP has changed or our MP decide to change us. But the parliamentary staffers will most often, remain there. These things are important. So where to find help for your MP in parliament? Where to find help for your MP outside of parliament? If your MP is on, certainly you know the committees that your MP is on. But do you know the organizations that work within these subject matters? Sir, what is one of the committees that your MP serves on? Youth and sports. Okay, so are you very familiar with youth-based organizations that are doing real on-the-ground youth work? That you can always connect them to your member of parliament for his youth component of the work? You may know a few, but perhaps not all. That's some of the things that we need to invest some time and energy, into, because it helps. When they know that you are interested in that particular subject matter, at PN Africa, if we know that your MP is interested in this matter and you have actively engaged, and we know that these are your areas of interest, anytime that an opportunity comes around this area, you and your office will be the first thing that will come to our minds. And because we know that we have relationship built with you, what will we do? We'll reach out. So these things really, really do matter. And while we are at this, John and Co., can we, in the interest of time, do snack around our table while we still go about this, so that for some of us who we didn't eat this morning, I'm one of those, we can have some energy in our system, please. I hope you don't mind if we do it that way. Ideally, we'll have to take a snack break. I'm thinking that we can take a break when we are transitioning between my presentation and Miss Ado's presentation, but for now, so that we can be able to have, you can feel free if you don't want to take it now. So relationship was about the fact that our bosses are busy people. You know, everybody knows about that. In fact, civil society finds working with Parliament very frustrating. Sometimes we get a few of our colleagues ask us, how do you people survive doing out and out parliamentary work? Because we want to invite an MP. Yeah, best friend no sir. Oh, father. Me, I had an experience. I was sitting in a public gallery. The MP that I was actually looking for, I was tracking him. He was sitting in chamber, you know. Then I called. He knows my number. I called him a few times. He was not answering. When he realized that I was being very persistent, he just picked the call and says, Sammy, I'm in a meeting in constituency. I'll get back to you later. You know, I was sitting in public gallery. I see him in the chamber. Sammy, I'm in a meeting in constituency. I'll get back to you later. You know, how I dealt with that particular matter is an issue for another day. It's one of those very interesting moments with parliamentary work. But you see, there are some MPs who would actively let you know that, look, I'm looking for this and that and that. There are some who won't. One of the modules we said is under at this particular course is managing your boss. Yeah? You must know your boss to be able to manage your boss. You must know whether you are working with the kind of boss who will be proactive to let you know about this or not. If your boss is proactive and lets you know, don't disappoint him or her. When he lets you know, make sure you do some thorough work. Because if you don't do thorough work and don't present him with some thorough work, the next time, he or she will not let you know. But if your boss is the type who will not let you know, these are a few ways that I recommend. Friday afternoon, business statement has been presented. Friday morning or afternoon, business statement for the next week has been presented. I've seen the issues that are going to be discussed, you know, next week. And I know that my boss is, you know, interested or is involved in item A, B, or C. Okay, so this is speaking from your end. Okay, and it's from Zoom. No, I'm saying that, but it is from what I'm sharing. It's what I'm sharing. Okay, excellent. Because how do you check that business statement and it's able to give you an idea of some of the issues that would involve your boss next week? And to be the one rather to proactively bring him and say that, boss, I've noticed from the business statement that there is going to be International Women's Day on the 8th of March. I know about your interests as a member of the Women's Caucus and all of that. I have this, you know, draft statement that people, I mean, what thinking ahead, because remember that we said that you have to also be a solution finder. Or, fortunately in Parliament, committee meetings are advertised at least a day before. So you know that tomorrow the Committee on Gender is meeting and they are meeting on whatever. You know, they are meeting, let's say, the gender, they are meeting members of the Ghana Federation for the Disability. You know, you may not be in that particular meeting, but how do you pull a one-pager for the boss and say that, look, I saw that you're having this meeting tomorrow with this. I read this online. This is a one-pager explaining some of the issues. You may want to take it into the meeting to serve your interest. Or your boss is on committee A, B, and C, and I've already said that. How do you identify the stakeholders? There's something called stakeholder mapping. You know, how do you map the group of stakeholders within that particular enclave or zone or within? I need to resume sharing. How do you map the stakeholders within that particular enclave to make sure that at every point in time you have some juicy information for your boss around the particular subject matter which needs to be dealt with? So, yes, by all means, there may be certain things that your boss, not because he wants to hide things from you, but will not mention because, you know, there are times when in fact, there are certain bosses who reveal things to people when you've been able to prove to them that now this is the guy that I should be telling him about what I will be up to every week. Because when I tell him, he pulls some magic. But until he starts telling you, how do you pull those unexpected magic for that boss? For that boss to realize that, you know, I think that this guy is doing something differently. And so can I now properly assign him to X, Y, and Z? Because look, If I were a research assistant, and of course, I am saying this because I've had a benefit of 10 years of working around parliaments, both in country and outside. The 3 or so committees that my MP is on, then one subject that my MP wants to be a subject expert on, and the issues that are very important to him in his constituency and his party, will be things that will be on my dashboard almost on a daily basis. And me asking myself the question, what can I do for him around these areas? So that you may have instances where your MP is on poverty reduction committee. That committee is never meeting. You know, yeah, I know, they never meet. That committee is never meeting. You know your boss is frustrated about it. But poverty reduction matters matter to a lot of civil society work, a lot of development partners work. How do you connect your boss? So that even when the committee is not meeting, your boss as an individual is being invited to some of these forums and workshops. You think he wouldn't appreciate it? Of course, some of these forums and workshops does not come free. You know, we pay good money for them to attend. You think he would not appreciate it? Of course, some bosses will not give you some of the good money, but, you know, some may. You know, but of course, you're doing your job anyways, you know, as part of what you need to do. So for me, those are some of the things that on top of my mind, you know, could be some of the ways that you could serve a boss who is not opening up on matters that he or she needs to be addressed. Any other comment or question? And I hope you don't mind that. So I want to end it with the final part of my presentation. And I see a lot of chats in the chat. I see like signal of 6 chats in the chat box. Oh, they couldn't hear it. Okay, it's not about questions. And please, do well. Feel free to always post in the chat box if you have questions so that you're not left out, because you are as important to us as those of us in the room. Connecting your MPs to opportunities within civil society. While I was doing this presentation, I've spoken a lot about some of the issues, but now we can drill into some of the very specifics. At plenary, what are some of the opportunities within civil society for your boss for plenary? Questions, statements, and motions. And I've emphasized this matter well enough. There are so many of us civil society organizations who are willing, able, ready to draft the statements for you, cover to cover, do the background research, do everything, and lay before you and your boss that 4 or 5 pager. That all that he or she has to do is to look through it, review it, and see whether it is something that he or she thinks he would want his or her name to be associated with. Because, of course, Hansard will capture it as he or she having presented. And there are so many. Our office at PN Africa convenes the Ghana Parliamentary Monitoring Organizations Network, which is a network of about 20 organizations that does many works around civil society, various areas. So it includes CDD, it includes ODICRO, it includes Coalition on NGOs in Health, it includes the Ghana National Coalition on Education Campaign, it includes Education Watch, it includes the network of organizations in gender, it includes Women in Law and Development, WILDAF, it includes, now you have the list of PMO network members. I just wanted to highlight some so that you know who and who are on there. It includes the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Ghana Integrity Initiative, Africa Education Watch, so on education, Budget Ghana on matters relating to budgets and fiscal analysis. It includes Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. It includes Star Ghana. It includes the NGO Coalition on Environment, related matters. It includes the Coalition of NGOs, Disability NGOs. It includes a couple of gender-based NGOs and what have you. If you need a specific item, we are more than willing to point you to the focal person within that particular organization to speak to, and we are very certain that you can get some real help, because believe you me, almost on a weekly basis, I get calls which are saying, Sammy, we have this particular matter around this subject. Which MP do you think will be interested in? For those that I know, we link them to it. And most often than not, it is becoming the same set of MPs. Because those are the ones we know. And we know that they are interested in that particular subject matter. So we'll continue to push it, to them, unfortunately. So please, make yourself available and we'll help with that. And like I said, on the GAP project, let me see, how many of us are RAs to female MPs here? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, so on the GAP project specifically, we want to support statements read by female MPs on the floor of Parliament. So for that one, we as an organization are particularly interested. So let us know what subject matter you think your boss will be interested to want to read a statement around, and we'll be more than happy. That's Kate. Can you please help her locate here? We'll be more than happy to be able to help you on that. Madam, welcome. Your seat is in front here. Hello, Batase. Please. Welcome. Right. So those opportunities, actually exist for the work that members of Parliament need to do at plenary. At their committee level, of course, we know that at committee level, they do a lot of bill considerations. They do a lot of oversight of the executive branch. There are so many organizations that are interested in the bills that are at various committee level. And so when your committee, the committee that your MP serves on, has a particular bill under consideration there, you may see that as a way to also connect with these organizations. Because like I keep saying, if I were an MP, at least from the experience that we've had with working with Parliament here and beyond, I want that ready served information, fact sheet, that will be relevant for my immediate work. And so if I am on the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament, and we are looking at spousal rights bill, or we are looking at interstate succession bill, and my research assistant brings me some 2-pager on some real hardcore interstate succession related matters that will help me in my argument at committee level on the bill, I'll be so excited, and that will certainly see me, getting engaged. Or if we are overseeing a particular ministry, department, or agency on a subject matter, and these matters are brought to my attention, I'll be particularly thrilled. And we are coming to an end for my presentation so that we can have Director take up on her presentation. Exposure on specific topics, and that one also I spoke about. One of the things that we notice, which makes the high flyers fly, and those who are not flying still remain where they are, is just like we had seen in the Australian legislature's presentation, identifying at least one area of expertise and being the subject matter expert. And I've told you about how the exposure comes. Some of you spoke about how to get those opportunities for your bosses. It will come within civil society, including travel opportunities and what have you. Those things exist. The network has these subjects and topics that can be dealt with, and if you are able to connect properly to it, we can be able to also connect you properly to that. So exposure for your specific topic. Access to knowledge materials. Within civil society, there are a litany of research that we have done, series of materials that are available, on various subject matters. Always reach out, and you can be able to find some real help on these issues. It's critical. Community engagement opportunities. One of the things that many people do not know is that for the MPs that civil society see as friends, when we have opportunities that needs to go to communities, we like to take it to their constituencies. That's plain black simple. If Honorable Emmanuel Bejira is a friend to civil society, a very good friend to civil society, and there is a project that we are organizing, which requires community engagement, which will benefit him indirectly, of course, politically, because I know that he's just a phone call away and can help facilitate, I'd rather take it to his constituency than another MP who would really frustrate my life. Because honestly, as a development partner, civil society organization, or whichever group, you are working with timelines, you are working with deliverables that you need to deliver on. So the little frustrations, you drop it and then you move on. You take it somewhere else that, last year we needed to organize 5 town hall meetings with 5 female MPs across Ghana. We did just 1. Why? Yes. Because every other female MP, was not playing ball. Of course, maybe it was because of our approach. The approach was through the leadership of the Women's Caucus, maybe not directly to the offices of these female MPs. The only one that played ball was Honorable Jifa Gomeshi, and we held it in a constituency that was in Aplau, I think. Now, by the way, for the RAs for female MPs who are on the call and in the room, there are still opportunities for 4 more of these town hall meetings. What does this town hall meeting entails? It is when the MP, local organizations that are interested in women, gender, children-related matters are brought together for the MP to explain to them what is happening in Parliament around these subject matters, how she is also helping in these areas, for them to also give their concerns, to be taken. And this is funded by the project. So the MP does not pay for the auditorium or for the snack that gets given to the people that come to the program or what have you. It is facilitated as part of the project. Ours is to work with an MP that is willing and able for these things to be done in your respective constituency. So for those of you who are in here, it's an opportunity for your respective offices to take advantage of it if you so desire, and Dromo would be more than happy to assist on that. Last but not least are 2 specific interventions that can you still see the screen on because I'm not on, for the Zoom people. Okay. 2 specific additional interventions that are worthy of note. I already mentioned to you about the Ghana PMOs network, the Ghana Parliamentary Monitoring Organizations Network. I've listed a series of organizations. In fact, you can simply just identify your MP's interest area and we'll be able to help you to identify the set of organizations that will be interested to work with your MP. And we can do the facilitation and connect you and your MP to that. And this does not apply to female MP RAs only, for everybody, every one of you. The town hall meetings are specifically female MP RAs, but for linking up with civil society, working in these specific areas, it applies to any MP that seeks to take advantage of these. And then last but not least is the GAP project. Like I said, that one is specific for female MPs. So a few deliverables that I think you may find interesting. There's civil society sitting there doing matters relating to women, children, gender, adolescent reproductive health related matters, who have research work that they can put together in the form of statements for your boss to deliver on the floor of Parliament. If you are interested, we connect, and then, or any other subject matter that as female MP she's interested in, the civil society network is able to pinpoint them to one organization that will be able to help them with drafting some of these statements, well-researched, for them to present. And this opportunity exists for this first ongoing meeting of Parliament and the next meeting of Parliament, at least for this GAP project. Subsequent projects will also come up, that these things may be required. So please do well to take advantage of that. So for statements, even for questions also, background information on questions, maybe it will be constituency related, but around these topics of gender, children, women, we are willing to support with background research, background information on that. Then I already said that there are 4 remaining town hall meetings that needs to be held. We'll come to your constituency. We'll work with you as Ari and your boss to be able to have this and bring the community people together with your boss to be able to do this. If it is in Jomoro, we are willing to come to Jomoro. If it is in which other female MP constituencies do we have around here? Kwabre East. Kwabre East is Honorable Francisca, is it? Yeah? Okay, yes. So, yes, that's in the Ashanti region. It's part of the catchment area. Which other? If you just set your east, that's also Ashanti, right? Yes, that's also part of the catchment area. Not the Volta region. We've done Volta already, but it doesn't spoil. I mean, we can still do Volta anyways. And then which other constituency? Okay. So those are some of the things that are actually available to us. So let me just wrap up with what we have been doing today. We have been identifying what your expectations for this session are. And Madam Director, there were three main expectation areas that came up. The first is that at the beginning they said they had come to this meeting because not so much work had been done in equipping them with how they can do their work as research assistants. And so they felt that opportunities like this help to equip them on some of the work that they need to do as research assistants. And so they are here to learn as much as they can learn. A good number of people said that they really see that their offices are lacking when it comes to social media and its engagement, but they are not seeing where they can get help. So they thought that coming to this meeting will also help them to get some help. And then a good number of them also said that they really want to see how they can connect their MP and his or her interest areas to opportunities out there, whether within civil society, whether within development partners, both home and abroad, what opportunities can help projects come to their constituencies and what have you. And I think that we have done justice to some of these issues by citing some practical examples. We have made them aware that this whole RA's program is a full multi-day course, but we've crashed it into a half-day presentation just to be able to give them highlights with the hope that going forward we can be able to do some more extensive engagements with them. And so I thank you very, very much for your audience. It's been fantastic hearing from you, listening to feedback from you, getting you to, tell us some of the things that works fine for you, some of the things that do not work fine for you. So at this stage, if you have any last-minute questions for me before we switch over to our next presentation, I'll be more than happy to take them. If you need to clarify anything that had been said, if you need to have anything addressed, I'll be more than happy. And that same applies to those of you who are on Zoom. You can always type it in the chat box. We would address them as well. Any questions? Excellent. They say that when you do a presentation and you don't get questions, it's two things. It's either everything that you have said has sunk down very, very well, or, Charlie, you have wasted everybody's ears. Okay. Please go ahead. Yes.
So what the RA is supposed to do during caucus meeting, but you didn't really speak about it. I don't know whether she also speak about it. So I want to know what the RA is supposed to do during caucus.
So what I had projected then was that I was giving the full list of modules that are part of our broad research assistance training, the multi-day research assistance training. And one of those modules is about dealing with caucus and party matters. Because, of course, as an RA, you have your MP is within a caucus and from a political party. But of course, those are not, the details of the matter that we dealt with. We touched on a few of them. Now, your MP has as much party responsibility as they have of constituency responsibility. They need to maintain a very fantastic, cordial relationship with party, both at home and even at headquarters, to be able to still, make them, a liked MP. How do you, as a member of their backroom staff, help them to be able to know what's on the ground? How do you maintain the relationship? I'm sure that you people know that if you are an RA, some of you said that you just started the work 2 months ago, 1 month ago. Assuming that you've just been 2 months into the job, you are in the office here, a man walks in or a woman walks in, and you are in a very, very bad mood. Yeah? And so the person tries to engage you, and really you didn't give the person the kind of cooperation that the person may require. The person leaves very much upset, only for you to learn later that it's the constituency chairman of your MP's party. I'm sure that you know what kind of trouble you have caused for yourself, first of all, for your boss, most importantly, and for party cohesion, generally. And so you must understand those dynamics. Who are the very important people to your boss, so far as the party work is concerned. If you don't understand them, then you may treat everybody the same, and it may affect you big time. In the office, who must be given priority? Of course, everybody is important, but certain people, you must never tell them that the boss does not want to see anybody. And you must know who are these people. So those dynamics really, really matter. Of course, we didn't have time to drill deep into those, but it is also all part of the human relations. I told you from the very beginning that I have had some very bad experiences with some parliamentary committees from the very first approach with the secretariat. And so everybody at PN Africa knows that those committees will never work with them. Even if opportunities come, we would find a way to agamalize, to make another committee do that particular thing. Because yes, you want the space that you can be accepted, you can be, I was telling you people about how I almost told the team on this RA project that, well, perhaps RAs may not be a good group of people to work with going forward, because it was quite frustrating. But anyways, I think we've had a very beautiful audience that I've enjoyed today, and so my mind has changed. My mind has really, really changed, and we can be able to do some good work with you. Any other question, please, before I draw the curtains on this? Matters that came up in our expectations, matters of working with the media, social media being a part of, and matters really that she knew me when I was a national service person. And so whether I'm executive director now or not, she still deals with me in my national service cloak. And I'm okay with that, by the way. Madam Kate Addo will take us through that particular presentation. As you are very much aware, she's Director for Public Affairs of our Parliament. So please, let's do a 5 minutes health break, and then when we come back, and for those on Zoom, of course, the 5 minutes allows you time to also sip on some coffee, sobolo, or whatever that you've got around you while we come back in 5 minutes. We'll resume at 12:05.
office. So it's one of the things that we would look at. And like I said, most of the work was done by Mark here. So I only am very eloquent. I didn't do that much work. So, Mark did most of the work, and I don't like to not give credit where credit is due. So, Mark, well done, even before we start. If it goes well, it is because I speak well. If it doesn't go well, Mark didn't do a good job for this one. He worked on this one, so yeah. So let's do a quick self-introduction so that I'm able to address everybody by name. So my name is Kate. And you know, civil society, they don't like calling people by madam or miss or whatever. It's first name, whoever you are. So for the purposes of this work, that's what we'll do. And then when we come out, if you call me Kate, what I'll do to you. So let's do it.
Thank you, madam. Please, I'm called Abbas Kurui, representing North Dai office. My MP is Honorable Jocelyn Tete.
I'm Joseph Halifax. I'm representing Honorable Francis Kauti Mensah, MP for Kwabri East.
I'm Lloyd Nilatelate, Wise.
Nancy Apia, Ketu South, Honorable Jifa Gomashi.
Sayura Madabra, Jomoro, Honorable Dr. Stofe.
Nifo Subadu, Honorable Ashayo Dampton, Tama East.
Okay, Calvin Chris Mensah, Bon Katamanso, Honorable Joseph Akwete Tete.
Edu Mensah, Honorable Mavis in Cancer Board, Refugee Secretaries.
Theodore Kelvin Ojangba, Shai Osudoku MP, Honorable Linda Oklu.
Tracy Fuga, Honorable Abdallah Al-Hassan Idi, Salaga North.
Nadia Rutkwe, Honorable Al-Hassan Idi, Salaga North constituency.
So there is 40 females. So yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So let's say 1/3. 40 female MPs. So about 1/3 of the research assistants showed up. So online for male MPs. Oh, okay. For the male MPs. Okay, so I'm waiting to start. So for the first topic, what I want to do is to start from the general and then narrow it down to the specific. So we will look at the office in general, and then we'll look at what the role of the RA is and the skills you need. That will be the first part. Hopefully I should take about 20 to 25 minutes to do that. Then when we are done, we'll take a 2-minute break and then come back and look at the media issues. And then depending on how we would have gone, we would open the floor for questions. But if at any point you feel like there is an urgent need to stop me and ask a question, you can do that. Otherwise, you can just put the questions down, and then when we are done, we can come back and questions, comments, anything that you'd like to know. The reason I spoke about my experience is that I wanted to put it in context for you. Usually I don't introduce myself. I like people to say the nice things about me. But when I told you that I've been working in Parliament from 2004, I wanted to put in your minds the fact that I have institutional memory and experience, and that may come in handy for you. And so I was telling the executive director, who used to be my national service personnel, who used to be a mark, but you know, the thing is that they are very sharp. And I only discovered, I only like smart people. If you are not smart, I don't waste my time on you, unfortunately. So yeah. I was telling him that I don't want to dwell too much on the paper itself. I'd like to share experience with you so that you will benefit from it. Because what you're doing, you cannot learn in any book. So I am waiting for Mr. Obing. Oh, these are small, but at least I can see it. So while he's doing that, I had a general outline. And my outline will look at the introduction And then I'll go on to look at how to effectively manage an office and how to be effective people manager. Now, in my introduction, it's very academic. I'll just look at who a research assistant is. Sometimes we forget our roles and think of ourselves as political actors. You may be working for political actors, but in your capacity as a research assistant, you are first and foremost a research assistant. Anything else is ancillary to that. And those of you who I've had the opportunity of having one-on-ones with, I've already told you that you are technocrats. Your duty is to, while you may be wearing political colors, to be honest and be objective and be academic in your work. So if you are doing a research and the numbers are not showing, don't put a party color to it. Say what it is and let the member of parliament make up their mind. Give them the information. They will make up their mind. They are capable of, after all, they've won elections, so they know what they are doing. And so those are the things that I'll be looking at in the introduction. Then I also look at how to effectively manage your office, what you need in the office. What are the skills you need? What are the infrastructure you need? What should be in place? What should not be in place? And then, again, it dovetails into what Sammy was saying earlier about managing people. Because now, in today's workspace, nobody employs people with hard skills. If you don't know, you can be a doctor. If you don't know how to manage people, you will not get a good hospital to work in. You need to be able to manage people. You need to be able to deal with people. You need to be empathetic. You need to understand how and when and why you should do things for you to be successful. So those are some of the things that we will be looking at. Sammy, what's my situation at the moment? And so we'll also look at some of the skills that you need, which include like conflict resolution. You'll agree with me that even in the same caucus, 10 people, put 10 of them together, everybody has something else to say. So you need to be able to walk the fine line. How do you walk the fine line? You do that, first of all, by identifying what some of the sources of conflict are. Because sometimes, what they say, you cannot heal the disease if you don't know the cause. So what are the sources? What is generating so much conflict? Once you know that, then you need to hone your conflict resolution techniques and strategies. What will work for female MPs may not necessarily work for male MPs. What will work for Greater Accra Regional MPs may not necessarily work for people from Salaga. You need to have a balancing act and be able to deal with all the issues that will come up. And because I said I was going to spend only 20 minutes, I think Sammy is going to help me, which is very good. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, who is a research assistant? This is very academic. I wanted to look at the idea of who a research assistant is. First of all, the person is an assistant of a member of parliament. So the person is not a political actor. And is typically a professional staff member who works for an MP in a research capacity. Now, the research assistant is responsible for conducting research. You have to be able to conduct research on policy issues, on legislation, and any other matter that will concern the member of parliament that you are serving, and how that will support their work. Now, specific duties will include being able to analyze data, because if a member of, let's say for instance, you know members of parliament are being vetted for positions now. If your member of parliament is one of them, you must be able to have done a good research. If there are figures involved, you must be able to have analyzed whatever data, whatever trends there are, you must be able to know and analyze and be able to present a comprehensive report or briefing to the person that you are serving. You must also be able to liaise with your stakeholders and, harness all the benefits that you will get from that. Before, I don't know about now, but before, research assistants during the 7th Parliament had to have either a first class or second upper. Anything short of that, they were not taking you. And again, they were requesting for research assistants with political science background, law, or sometimes communications. And there's good reason for that, for analytical purposes and for the area that you find yourself in. Next slide, please. So then you talk about the roles, and the roles include conducting research, drafting papers, and then constituent relations. I'm sure, do we actually, one of the things that keeps coming up when we do our evaluations, and PN Africa has done research on Parliament in these areas, and they say sometimes our research is not up to scratch because our members of Parliament are not equipped with all the information they need. Are we doing enough research? Are you working hard enough to generate enough research on the field or in the field that your MP is in? So for instance, if your MP wants to make a statement on Alhaji Jaola's passing, you need to know sports, you need to know finance, you need to know health, because he was involved in all these things. And when you are doing a research for that kind of presentation on the floor of the House, so it's a statement. When you are doing that, you must be able to know that Alhaji Jaola was a member of GFA. He was actually the chairperson, and this is what the GFA did. You must have background information on the subject, and you must be able to analyze that subject to the and break it down to the extent that when the person who is delivering picks it up, whether they've read it 5 times or 2 times, they should be able to speak to the issues that you've raised. One of the key things of the members of Parliament is constituent relations. This is key because this is a numbers game. The only reason you are here is because your members of Parliament are here. Now, the only reason your members of Parliament are here is because they won elections. And who voted for them? The constituents. So constituent relations is key to everything you are doing. There are a number of people that you deal with at the constituency level. I think I've discussed that further. So for here, I'll just mention the fact that you need to at least maintain some relations with them. Keep in touch with them. If it's possible and your MP can afford it, find a contact there and make sure that that contact is also working with you. So that contact is sort of like working under you. Sometimes what I do when I have situations that I need to work extra in is that if I'm paid 1 city, I'll find somebody I can pay 2 cities to and have the, 50 pesos or something to, and have that person do the groundwork while I'm dealing with the major issues. So while you are here in Accra dealing with the bigger issues, you can find somebody in the constituency who will be dealing with the matters that will arise from there in order for your MP not to lose grip in the constituency. Next, please. We've spoken about the rules of, so again, you have to have communication support. You know now, whatever you are doing, you need communications and administrative support. These are givens. And I'm sure you have administrative secretaries in your offices now. So that's no longer a big deal for you. But when it started, there were no administrative support. So the research assistant was the secretary, was the manager, was everything. But now at least you have somebody you are working with. So in your current situation, or you don't? There are no administrative secretaries with you. You don't have secretaries. So it's just you with the MP in the office. So then this comes into play. Since this is not a welfare matter, but since I'm not, that's why I said to you that I'm not here in my Parliament capacity. I'm here in my personal capacity. So you can call me Amada Echampo to avoid finding Kitado and giving her problems, you see. So one of the things that you do also is to give administrative support. Ideally, you should have an administrator with you and somebody who can help with the, little things that come with office running. But in the eventuality that you don't have, you make the best of what you have, and you should be able to provide general administrative services to your MP. So it's nothing, detailed, but just running the office should happen with you. Next, please. You see, one of the things I'll talk about later on is having technology skills. That is very key. We've spent half a minute trying to figure out a very simple thing, which we could have, which if we have that tool it's easy. But then again, this is Apple, and Apple is, difficult to navigate. I think the cursor is stuck somewhere or something like that. Can we use mine? Okay, while we're waiting, I will. That's what I thought. Some people have laptops that are 1 million years old. They are the only ones who know which part of the. In fact, it's a MacBook. It's still a laptop. Excuse you. So he's the only one who knows which part of the laptop to touch. If he moves, there's voila. So don't get that kind of laptop. But that kind of laptop is very good. It's very good because when you put information on, nobody can come for it. And then the one that your cursor is on. Yeah. So now I've given us a general overview of what your duties and everything. Now, you are in the office. So you've got the job, you've come for your orientation, everything has happened. You've come to the office. You've come to meet a bare office. How do you even operationalize the office, let alone make it effective? So this is by Stoner and Freeman. And in 1992, they sort of, among the many bureaucrats who said what office management is, Stoner and Freeman also said something. And they are saying it is the planning, organizing, coordinating, and controlling of the work of the office in order to achieve the goals of the organization. But in this case, the goals of your small office. And then for research assistants, the office management skills are essential. Because, like I said, when they didn't used to have offices, it was easier. That one, when you come, you just come and manage yourself and go. But now that they have offices, you need to be an administrator. And now that I'm finding out that you don't have all the other pieces that should be in place, you need to be an administrator, secretary, welfare officer, all those things rolled into one. Effective management of your office is key to the success of your MP. If the office is not properly managed, there is chaos in the morning, chaos will follow your MP throughout the day. Next slide, please. Orderliness is one of the things. So I was talking about chaos. Make sure that the office, so you know that I don't know if any of your MPs are in leadership positions, but if they are not, a member of parliament comes to work at X amount of time, X o'clock, at X o'clock, this happens, at Y o'clock, this happens, at 10 o'clock, he or she goes to plenary. At the time when he comes, or when he or she comes, first of all, it is your duty to ensure that they are there on time. So if it means calling to find out, Honorable, have you left? Oh, we said we'll meet the day before. Obviously, you'd have done your, schedule and everything. So you ask him, Honorable, are you able to leave home at this time? Oh, I'm just reminding you, just a gentle reminder of this to make sure that the person has left. Once the person comes to the office, you already have a typed or something. If it's to send them by WhatsApp of the activities for the day. Honorable, you have this here, you have this here, you have this here, you have this here, you have this here. I suggest we do this here, we do this at this time, we do that at this time. That way, there's orderliness. In the eventuality that you are not well, or you are indisposed, or something happens that makes it impossible for you to be there, there's already an order that will run with or without you. Now, the good thing about being that kind of person is that eventually when you get your UN appointment and you go, and the next person who replaces you is not able to do that, then your importance or the impact that you made will be felt even in your absence. These slides are plenty. Maybe I should be faster. So again, this is the same thing, talking about streamlining activities. It's the way you do the office that will reduce inefficiencies, and it will improve productivity and also free up time for more important things. Because sometimes what you do is that because you don't have a plan for the day, you come and everything is basa. Something they say courtesy call. Meanwhile, your MP is the ranking member for something. You don't know. So now you have to find him or her. And he or she didn't know they have to do that. So they are not at where they are supposed to be. And then everything is in chaos. But if you've streamlined and you've put everything in an orderly manner, it helps you and it saves you a lot of time. And you can also delegate that way. Next, please. Time management. We're talking about the same thing. Next. So I'll share the the slides with you for you to read later on. One of the things I have found in Parliament is prioritization. Prioritization. The MP is a political animal, so their aim is to maximize whatever it is that has political coloring. Your aim is to make sure that your MP is seen in the best of lights. So today we have appointments committee meeting. If your MP is not a member of the appointments committee meeting and they have a meeting, they don't have any business going there as a friend of the committee and spending 2 hours there because there's a live camera there, when they could have used the time to have a meeting, a stakeholder meeting with PN Africa or with a media group or something. So it is up to you, the research assistant, to manage and prioritize the activities of your member of parliament. When I say this, I'm not saying that MPs should not take advantage of the media space and be seen, because a man called Lord Nostrom, he said something about perception. He says, if you repeat something enough and people see it enough, they will believe that that is what it is. So if your member of parliament is a kind of member of parliament that is very, very smart, he's always writing, he doesn't speak, he's not seen anywhere, he will be academic like me. He will never be seen. You understand? So you have a fine balance of the two. But prioritizing is extremely important, because by the very architecture of how parliaments are structured, I'm not referring to just the Parliament of Ghana, how parliaments are structured, we tend to waste a lot of time on the minorities instead of the majority things. So it's important that the minorities, not in the terms that we see in parliament, but the minors instead of the majors. So let's be mindful of that. And then you must manage your time. You must have problem-solving skills, because by virtue of the fact that our politics is culturalized, the member of parliament is seen as a solution provider. Somebody is pregnant, member of parliament. Somebody has a funeral, member of parliament. All kinds of things are taken to the member of parliament. Now, how do you solve the problem in such a way that the member of parliament is not negatively affected, the constituent is happy to go to the polls again to vote for the member, so that the member can retain and you can also retain? I told you when, is it Edidi? What's it again? When Joanna was fidgeting with Samin's thing, I told you I would come back to technology skills, but and that is key. That is key. In today's world, if you are not technology savvy, you will not go anywhere, because even the committee meeting notices are sent electronically. Everything is done electronically. And now with artificial intelligence, a member of parliament is in the chamber. He's making a statement on 30 years of parliamentary democracy. He doesn't have institutional memory. He doesn't have enough information on the tips of his finger. Now, you are sitting in your office. You should be able to quickly access information. Artificial intelligence, everything and anything is on the line. It's online. So in 1992, what happened? Why did we return to constitutional rule? If you don't know, just Google it. Referendum will come up. What is a referendum? You are able to, and then once you get the information, you must also be savvy enough to relay the information to your boss in the manner that they will understand. So it's always better that you are one step ahead of your boss. If anybody sleeps, they will stand up for 2 minutes. So if I'm boring, let me stop, and then we will find a way around it. But if you sleep, you stand up for 1 minute, because I have a sore throat and I'm managing to talk. So I'm really straining. So if you sleep, you'll be in trouble. Me, the way I can worry, people you don't know. Okay, so that is knowing how to effectively manage the other thing you need, which is key, important. You can have all the technological skills, you can prioritize, you can do everything. If you don't have people management skills, forget it. Because the MP is not working with tables and chairs. They are working with human beings. They're working with human beings who have nuances, who have, what do you call it, preferences, who have biases and all kinds of things. Somebody wakes up in the morning, their tap is not flowing. They are blaming the member of parliament. Somebody's hungry, they are blaming the member of parliament. Somebody is, is in a bad mood generally, and they are blaming the member of parliament. How can you, as a research assistant, manage the various groups of people that the MP is dealing with to the extent that he or she does not have to worry about whether they gave in someone 1 CD and it is an offense, or they should have gone with SNAP, or they should have gone with water instead. And all these things you must know. So if, let's say, Francisca, you said, are you the self-dying person? Who's your Jifa? Jifa is my sister, so I can use it. So Keta C defense has happened. You are going to see the chiefs. How do you go? What is the cultural nuances, underpinnings in the place? How do you deal with the people? When you go, how do you dress? Are you going to go there in a pair of jeans? When you go, what language are you? All these things are the ingredients you need when you manage people, for people like politicians. The same tools that you need. Medicine Cancer does not need those tools because you come from different geographical locations. So the general things will be there. The general basic requirements will be there. But the things you need to be effective are different depending on your geography and your culture. And then we have the overall umbrella culture that we deal with as a people, as Ghanaians. And so it's important that we are mindful of our people management thing. And I spoke about the components, and I spoke about communications. You must have a good communication skill. So when we go to, let's say, the northern region, or to a Muslim place, you know that women take one step back. It's not now before you are going to say you are the director, so Chinchina, you are going to be in front. I'm the Harry. No, I have to speak to my boss. If it is that when you enter the mosque, you sit at the back. That's called the non-verbal communications that you need. If you need to speak in a certain way, speak in a certain way. You meet a child who is a prince in a particular geographical location, there's a way you address them. And you don't go and say that I'm addressing them in this way because I'm the Harry. Sometimes it is the constituents on the ground who even ditch you and make the man or woman say that this person, I can't take them to my constituency again, because sometimes some of you Aris are not necessarily from the constituency of the MPs that you are serving. And so it's important that you know what language works for them, verbal and non-verbal. As well, you need to build relationships. So there is, for instance, if I'm looking for majority lead for Harun Idrisu, I don't call him. I just call somebody. And I know that that person will pick. If I'm looking for Mr. Speaker, I call somebody. It is easier for me to reach him that way. So you build relationships around the relevant people. If your MPs are home in the night, will you call their husband or their wives, or you rather call the driver? Sometimes calling the driver is the thing to do. Sometimes calling the house up is the thing to do. Not necessarily, my friend, you'll be in trouble. It's important to be mindful of that. Again, time management. I keep repeating time management, because if you don't manage, look, we started this 8th Parliament 2 years ago, just like yesterday, when we were talking about chamber activities. Already we are in the 3rd year. So if you don't manage time well, and time is the only resource you have that is precious. Money is important, everything is important, but time is the currency that you want to protect. And then you must have problem solving and critical thinking skills. Think on your feet. Okay, hey, we have gone. We're having, let's say an MP comes to Parliament and then something happens. Let's say we are going for a meeting. In my dress today, you see blue and you see flecks of other colors. Let's say I'm going to a particular location where these type of colors may not necessarily work. Do I go with it, or I quickly think and change? when issues come up, how am I able to deal with it? Workers are coming, they are agitating. The issues are that there are genuine issues on the ground, which makes it difficult for certain decisions to be taken. Do I go and be politically incorrect and spill the beans, or am I honest and, think critically, look at the issues dispassionately, and arrive at a conclusion where you are not, first of all, being emotional, and we'll talk about emotional intelligence later on. You're not being emotional, you are being objective, and you are being the eye that the person who employed you needs to see. Because they say, when you don't advise the king in private, he or she will go out and be naked in public. So you must be politically aware, and I've spoken about political awareness. You must collaborate with each other, with the executive, with all the stakeholders, primary, public, secondary, publics, everybody that affects the member of parliament, directly or indirectly. You must be able to collaborate with them to ensure that the person that you are serving is, projected. Because if the person is projected, you too will be projected. You always come to the chamber with prepared notes. Oh, my RA did it for me. It helps. And then, so the skills for the effective people management, we're speaking about conflict resolution and negotiations. You must have empathy. You must have empathy. Somebody has come from Wali Wali. They are coming to see their MP. They are at the gate. And then they don't have accreditation. And then, they won't let you come in, Or as he's saying, I was just talking to my colleagues in the office that sometimes, and I'll use that example. Let's say for the vetting, you need 15 days for an advert to go before you can vet somebody. And then the person brings it on the 16th day for the 15 days. They haven't done the proper work. You say, go and get approval and come. I don't work like that. So I told them that when they come, do it for them and tell them, I have done the first one for you. Go and get the work done and come. Somebody doesn't have an appointment with your MP. They've come. Are you going to sack them? If you sack them, will you go and stand there and vote 1, 2, 3, up to that 30,000 that they've been voting? So you are empathetic. Sometimes people have genuine problems. Sometimes they don't even need to see the MP because the problem they have, you can fix it for them. Somebody's hungry. They want 5 cities. I mean, I'm not saying encourage that because that also has its issues. But if you can, sometimes somebody needs a phone call, school visit. Oh, call Kate. Kate, please. I'm the RA for this. I beg you, my people have come. Can we help them? That way you are empathetic to people and you are facilitating, an affable, relationship collaboration for your member of parliament. And being empathetic will help you in relation and negotiation skills, because that is the thing you do, even with our children. Yeah, one's blue, Ajwa one's green. Okay, if you mix green and blue, what do you get? You find the middle ground. It's the same. The members of parliament that I work with, that's what I do for them. So you will see that, I'm sure you people have heard, and during the Let's Talk More campaign, some of you were very vociferous, and even at the beginning of the 8th parliament, some of you were very, very vociferous about me. And the good thing is that when sometimes Monday, it is the NDC people who are giving it to me. Tuesday is the NPP people who are giving it to me. At the end of the day, when I don't have a particular favorite side, I know that I've done my job. For you who are working in specific political party offices, you don't have the benefit of that type of neutrality. But you have the benefit of neutrality in your caucus. So something happens, there's an issue. How do you give dispassionate advice to your boss so that in their forward march, they will have the benefit of that information. And if they choose another path, they would know that the RA was very frank and gave them the relevant information. And you must be able to negotiate. For instance, if you know that your MP is going to talk or vote against something, and that thing is very important, or vote for something, and that thing is very important. Let's say water. You are looking for water for North Tongue or something. Before you get there, you should be able to, behind the scenes, speak to people. Oh, my MP is coming to do this today. Oh, I'll be grateful if you can, of course, with the permission of your MP, if you can help them. Oh, my MP will make this statement too. If you can also, when they ask for contributions, make contributing remarks on it. And in doing that, you would write something small for them. So let's say Wednesday we'll inaugurate the 30th anniversary. When we are doing that, let's say your MP makes a statement. If you want MPB to contribute, right? Give them talking points. Find the standing orders that they can use and give to them. Oh, honorable, Pacho, when we get there, if you can help me with this, my MP will be talking. That way, your MP will be able to go further than. We will need to skip some of the slide because they are too. Okay, so time management, organizational skills, emotional intelligence, which is very important. Some people can be very, 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 very annoying. How are you able to be emotionally intelligent? Emotional intelligence is one of the soft skills that people are asking for now in jobs. So if you lose your temper too quickly, if you are not careful, you say anything anyhow, you don't know when to use eye contact, you don't know when to pull back, your body language is not good, you'll be in trouble. And then you must also avoid misconceptions and miscommunication. The only way you can do that is if you are communicating clearly and without ambiguity. Also, you must avoid personality clashes. We all can be same type of people. Some people are quiet, some are loud, some would say it, some would not say it. In all these things, know the personalities that you're dealing with and avoid the clashes that will come. Again, don't expect that when you come to work, 275 members will agree with your MP, or even the RSU. Even organizing this, you people couldn't agree. Some people say it's not useful. And I'm like, when they called me and said, you guys were doing that, I said, come and learn and go and use it for yourself. That one too, you want to argue on it. Hey. And then competition of resources. You know, the common fund is not that much money. MPs don't have. Once you work with them, you know they really don't have that much money. So whatever little resources they have, manage it well for them, because resources are scarce when a person is a member of parliament. Be a very good listener. Be a very good listener. People, constituency people, they will come. Unnecessary things and coming to disturb you with all these things. Just listen. And when you are listening, don't be typing and be saying, oh, me. Pay attention. Eye contact. If for some reason you absolutely cannot listen to what the person says, oh, I would have loved to listen to you, but I'm very busy. So if you don't mind to wait for 10 minutes, but if you can't wait, then why don't I call you or something? Then we'll have a longer conversation. Sometimes you would not immediately call, but make a point that even if you don't want, some people can be very troublesome. I have some, they come and ask for diary or calendar. I'm in the middle of something the speaker is looking for. This person has come. Is the calendar ready? I said no. Hey, I saw you on TV. You have grown fat, oh. And I'm thinking, but I'm like, oh, I've been going to the gym. Your leg is spinning you, eh? Tomorrow when you're coming tight. Are you telling me that I don't? People will come and do that. You see, be engaging. Give them the right body language. When they go, what I do is when you go down, but while you are there, for that 2-3 minutes, but be also, because I say that, it doesn't mean you should keep the office open. Honorable George will come. Honorable Grace will come and waste the whole day. You understand? It's all in the balancing. And then compromise. It's as if I have seen it. So you compromise, you find middle ground, and then work will be done. Mediation skills, we've spoken about it already. And then balancing act, we've spoken about it already. And then, it's still the balancing act that I continued. Let's go to the conclusion. So what I always do with my conclusion is that I come back with everything that we've spoken about, and I try to tie it in a slide or two, so that if I forget anything, I don't forget the fact that research assistants, they work in a research capacity. Be mindful of that. And you conduct research. That's why you are researchers. And that's why Professor Okwe was very, very, very insistent that if you didn't have first class or second upper, don't come. Because you can't come, and then you won't do research for your MP. Then your MP will get to the floor of the house, and then they'll make wrong quotations, and then they will be embarrassed by other MPs whose research assistants may have, or who may have come into some information. When you do that, you're not putting your MP in a good light. And when your MP is not shining, you are not shining. There are some of you that I know, because your MPs are very active. I've been meeting on the corridor. She's very nice to me anytime she sees me. I didn't even know that she was Jifa Gumashis. But her, for instance, she doesn't have as big a problem because her MP will find information. There are some MPs who are not as fast to find information as other MPs. If your MP is not fast, even if your MP is fast, why are you a research assistant? Come up with innovative ideas. Let the MP know that you are earning your keep. And when you are good, as they they get better and better and better, they start giving you more tips. And when opportunities come, sometimes, like all these people who have been made ministers, some of them go with their PAs or RAs. And when they go, Oko Boy, for instance, he went with his boy, Kelvin. Kelvin was a student parliamentarian. Kelvin is now a law lecturer in the States, in the UK. All because he was doing research. So research there, you can never go wrong with it. And then you may have, again, because the MPs select and they tend to choose people that they are comfortable with. Not everybody will have a law degree or a research background or a political science background. But even if you are a science student or a business student, once you come into the space, make sure that you use the space judiciously to your benefit. And then orderliness, like I said, you should be able to prioritize, you should be able to manage time, you should make your workflow such that it is seamless. So when you come from 8 or 10 or whatever time you come, till the time that you are closing, everything is pepper. Even the time that you used to gossip, which is a very healthy thing to do, and the time that you use for the bathroom. I'm telling you, because if you don't gossip, what will you do? 5 minutes gossip. Hey, have you seen Ni's shirt? Why did you think we're coming for? Then you gossip small, then you move on. It helps, but when you spend 2 hours gossiping, then it's a problem, you see. And in communications, because I am a communications person, I use gossip advisedly. Gossip is not necessarily kokosa. It's just catching up. And so please, don't say that Kate said when you come to the office, come and gossip, because I'm using it in the communication sense. The last slide is just tying the whole thing up. So what I want to leave you with this first part of the presentation is that research assistants are to do research for their MPs. They are to analyze data and provide them with information. They are to help them in their debates in the chamber. They are to help them to make contributions at committees. They are to help them in their oversight, deliberative, representative, and what's the other one? Do you know the 4 functions? Research assistants, there you go. Parliament has 4 main umbrella functions. What are they? Representation. I've mentioned oversight, okay. Deliberative. And which one is the 4th one? It is the legislature. So the legislative, the legislative. So you must have general knowledge of everything and be able to use this knowledge to your advantage. Sometimes when research is being done, or when I am working to a principal, I go somewhere with the speaker, I go somewhere with the clerk. The difficulty is that he's talking. As he's talking, you're standing behind him, and he's asking you questions as if you have ready-made answers. When I'm going, what I do is that I have 2 phones, and I've put the privacy lock on it so they don't know that I'm Googling. I Google the thing, I have it like this, my hand is on it. If it mentions A, I'm on it. If it mentions B, I'm on it. So they think I am smart. I'm using artificial intelligence. That's what you should do. Every time be on the ball. Because sometimes if you are that good, you'll be there and somebody will come and say, oh, Charlie, I want to do this, but I like the way you did your presentation, talking to an MP. Can you let your guy do it for them? Obviously, something will happen for you when you do that. So what I will leave you with is what I left my people with this morning, that this job is a servant job. It's not a participatory job. So we are servants. And being a servant, my mother told me that if you are too big for a small job, then you are too small for a big job. So please, be mindful of that. End of part 1. So we will pause here, take questions, and suggestions. Let me know what your difficulties are, what your challenges have been, and let's see if we can talk about it for the next 10 minutes. Then we move to the next one. And I don't think you don't have concerns, because I know you do. And I don't think you are managing your offices efficiently, because I know you are not. So let's have this conversation.
Served. And there are various shadows. Sometimes you do your best, and if you also want to step up to a level, the thing probably you are too inquisitive. So sometimes it puts us that, then let me wait. Why not? When you need me, you call. That's the situation we find ourselves. So what do? We call our boss.
Other people to gather their thoughts. And if you people don't engage, the next one I'll make it 2 minutes and go. You see, then your people management skills have not been employed yet. Do you understand? Before somebody will select you as their research assistant, they know you. Usually, most of you are friends or relatives, or in one way or the other affiliated with them. Even if you are recommended by somebody and they took you, once you get there, people are different. There's somebody that as soon as you get there, the person will make you feel very welcome. There are other people who are introverted, so they will not make you feel as welcome as the next person. There are some people who like to share information. There are some people who don't like to share information. So when you go, they call something in organizational behavior as reading the room. Read your environment. Find the kind of person you are serving. If it is the person who will not tell you what committees they are. Committee membership is public knowledge. So it is your business to know. In fact, they shouldn't tell you. Committee meetings is public knowledge. So it is your business to know where and how and what meeting they are attending. Opportunities are public. So it is your business to know the opportunities. For instance, Dr. Mafu has found that there are a lot of opportunities in climate. Nobody was doing that. So now his thing is climate. And every day he's going for one climate meeting. Even if he goes and gives his research assistant 10 CDs a day, count for 30 days. So it is up to the research assistant to be innovative. There are some people who will go for the meeting. They'll come, they won't even give you the information. Don't worry. The committee will do reports. When the committee does report, take it, read it, and discuss it with the person that, oh, Honorable, I saw this here, but I thought this other point is also the point that we could have looked at. So maybe going forward, if it's not too much, you can look at it. And there's a way you talk to them. Politicians have a particular, the moment they get voted for, some spirit enters them. You see? So then they start working in a Buga manner. Every day shoulder is raised. So you that you are serving, your shoulder needs to come down. You may be in the same political party. And you may have even been the reason he won the elections. But once you are here serving them, know that you are serving them. And your day, your 15 minutes in the sun will also come when somebody else will serve you. So just keep an open eye and manage, use empathy. So you're using a combination of empathy, using a combination of negotiation, and then you're using a combination of communications. So if you know that there's somebody who come and tell them, oh, say, this pen is blue. Why are you telling me the pen is blue? Say, but when you come, say, I think this pen is blue. So if we look at it critically, we might find that it's blue. Although we can find other shades of it. You said the same thing. Do you understand? So knowing what to say and how and when is also. And then reading people's moods. Sometimes a person doesn't want to talk, a person is in a foul mood. No, that's not when you'll be following them with, and then say, I want you to read a statement. So, yes, sir. Sure.
So I took it upon myself that before she goes to the committee meeting, I will go to the committee clerk, take what they are going to discuss. So I prepare a policy brief on what they are going to discuss. So immediately she gets to the office, they said, Kevin, have a committee meeting. I said, Honorable, I have this for you. Then I'll put it in a file. Sometimes she will take it and go. She wasn't making any comment about it. Then there was a time the Uganda Parliament came to this place to come and discuss local government, which is my area. So I did a very good brief. So when she went and came, I said, so you know all this? I said, Honorable, that's what I've been doing for you all the time. So since then, when she's now going, she will forward the thing to me. I will do the policy brief. Sometimes we have to sit down and discuss it. When you go and your colleague has mentioned this, go to this point. If they are discussing this, move to the second page. So I make sure that I break the thing down for, and when she's even at the committee meeting and I'm even in the office, we are still communicating. What's that? She will send me, immediately she gets there, she will send me all that they are going to discuss. Then she will indicate that, I want to talk on this, I want to talk on this. So I also do it the same way and forward to her. So it's easier for her to go to pick the point and then also go. But the issue of the qualification, I had a meeting the current speaker. In fact, he was emphatic. He said you only need master's degree holders.
Yes, in fact, you're right. So I stand to be corrected because before it was first degree.
Yes, second, yes. That meeting we even pleaded. He said this is what he is bringing. So if you are not a master's degree, even that master's degree holder, you are supposed to show competence of research. So you are supposed to present your research that you've done, a copy to the secretariat.
Thank you very much. You see, he has the benefit of experience as well. And so he's talking. So you see, while I'm giving you outdated information, he is giving me current information. And that's what research is about. Every day something new happens. And that is why they will tell you that as researchers, I'm sure you know about all this entomological epistemology and all those things. All these things are things that you should have at your fingertip. So what is the epistemology of your subject? The person that you are dealing with. How do they know? What's their worldview of what they know? So how do they react to people giving them information? Like he said, he kept giving it to the person until it was time, the stars had aligned, and the person was ready to take it. So their ontology is knowing that this should be done. But their epistemology was affected when it became necessary, and then their worldview changes. And so as researchers, these are the things that you need to keep in view when you are dealing with a person. No two MPs are the same. In fact, no two individuals are the same. I'm a mother of twins, and I can tell you, even identical twins are not the same. So dealing with people differently is key, and knowing what tool to use for what or who is also key. And the ladies, you know everything already. You won't ask who. Then when they do the meetings, they will say, there shall be a meeting of research assistants, 7 members, one of whom shall be a lady. Sit down, don't ask. So I will pause here because I want to go on to the next one. Then when I finish, so if you still have issues with this one, we can just, what do you call it? But next one, I'm expecting that you people will participate. Even not for anything at all, I'm a female presenter. Come and sit down and be shaking your eyebrows on me. The females, I'm sure this one is off while we're waiting. You don't like doing research. That's how we are. Why? You like research? Okay, what's your name? Chesley. Okay, so Tracy. Okay, so if you like doing research, then it's good. But it's important that we remove stereotypes from our agenda. So this is the second one. And this one is using the media, old and new. Feel free to stop me again if you have a need to. Let's go to the next slide, please. So, it's okay. So the presentation will look at the media in general, we'll examine the old traditional media, we'll look at the new social media, and then we'll focus on how to facilitate the work of the Member of Parliament through the effective use of the media. Then we'll conclude by outlining when it's appropriate to use what media vehicle. So, okay, so that's what we'll do. Now, in my introduction, I said that the media is the main means of mass communication. Now, that has changed, but this is the traditional definition of what a media is, and we are going to stick to that for the purposes of this conversation. So, for the purpose of this conversation, we are looking at two main types of media, the old and the new. The old is referred to as traditional, and that's when you have the newspapers, you have agency, you have news, you know, agency like News GNA, Ghana News Agency, Reuters, those people who do the release. And then you have the electronic like radio and television. Then in early 2000, something happened, and they termed it 1999. They said information superhighway. Does anybody know about the information superhighway? Oh, history, artificial intelligence. So when the information superhighway happened, you remember Y2K, at least? Yes. Everything was going to crash and all those things. As soon as we turned the century, we entered what they call the information superhighway. All of a sudden, communications was becoming a lot faster than, you know, print media. People were able to communicate. Those times, fax was the fastest. So I used to work as a journalist in a newsroom. If we needed to send stories, we would fax them. And if they needed to send videos, sometimes it was an electronic media. Sometimes the text will come, we will read the text on camera. Then 2 days later, a video will come from Deutsche Welle, or at the time CNN was also coming. It was very, very cumbersome. But all of a sudden, things started changing with the first one was, is it high five or high space or something? Do you remember? So that was the first one that came. People started, you're laughing at me. People started, I'm old. People started talking to each other in real time. And then communications took a major turn. Now, what happened when that happened was that we got what we called citizen journalism. All of a sudden, 7 billion people in the world are journalists. Nobody has exclusive rights to anything. So when I used to work on TV, and I was very, very important. Now the people who are working on TV, they don't enjoy. Because before you even stay, like I was talking to your predecessors, and I was telling them that, look, when we do State of the Nation address, and people are saying that, do delayed broadcasting. I tell them, I won't do delayed broadcasting. Because before we even get there, people are using their phones, they've already analyzed the thing. Why am I going to do 1 minute, 2 minute delayed broadcasting for? And those character traits that I have cost me, but they are the character traits that make me who I am. So I don't change them. So communications has become more complex, but also more simple because of new media. So it's easier to communicate now. But it's a lot more complex because we are all giving different versions of the same story. So it's no longer my truth, your truth, the truth. My truth, 7 other billion people's truth, and then shades of the truth. So nothing is black and white anymore. Next, please. So I looked at the media, and I was looking at the media itself being the umbrella. You have the internet, you have radio, you have magazines, and magazines are no longer just hard copies. Now we have electronic magazines, you have newspapers, and all these things help, in disseminating information. And for RAs, you must be aware of every single media outlet, whether it's formal or informal, whether it's old or new, because that is the vehicle that you're going to use. And this would have been me in another lifetime when I used to hold a microphone and be asking people, what do you think of something? But this also is still very relevant. And whilst new media has come to take over the old media, to the extent that even CNN now has a a web portal that they broadcast their information on. When somebody is looking for information that is authentic, they will go to traditional media. So when we want to watch the king's coronation, as much as we know that it will be streamed live on 1 million web pages, we still would want to see it on TV. So old media still has its place of pride. The same with the newspapers. You find that the Telegraph, the Mirror, all those papers, they are still very relevant, and people like to keep copies. I like to see myself in newspapers, maybe because I'm old school, but also because it represents a certain aristocracy in the communications stratosphere, as they say. And so these are just some of the things: Facebook, Hangout, YouTube, whatever you can imagine, LinkedIn. And I hope all of you are on LinkedIn. Okay. And then, now, this is the part that we're going to talk about. We're talking about how you, as the research assistant or the member of parliament, can use the media effectively. First and foremost, any soldier going to war, you must be prepared. And in getting prepared, you must think of the main responses or the points that you want to make anytime you engage the media. You cannot go to the media unprepared. They will slay you. Come with something. Even if you don't use it, come with, and you can't have mental notes. Because the thing about verbal communications is that it interferes with our mental capacity. Somebody is saying something, then it brings something else into your mind, and then your original point gets lost in the process. And then it's later on, when that point is no longer relevant, that you want to go and bring it. So when you're coming, and a very wise speaker once said that the bluntest pencil is sharper than the sharpest brain. So put it down and make sure that you have it on you at all times. And then have the relevant facts. You see, I'm taking my time to speak and emphasizing, because this is even more important than the first presentation that we had. Because if you mess up here, it doesn't matter what you've done. Because you can perform the first one, the first function of the office, but that would have been lighting a lamp and putting it under a bushel. The moment the lamp is on, whether it's a kerosene lamp or a petrol lamp, will show how it will burn. So this is very important. You have to be able to summarize. So when you are being prepared, these are the things that you should know. Summarize your issues into simple key points. Remember that journalists are generalists, so they don't know everything. So if it's something that if your MP is going to talk about science, geography, history, the journalist coming there that day is coming to perform a diary assignment. There is a diary in the newsroom with all the assignments in it. So when they come, Parliament opens sitting. Kate, go. Tomorrow, CSRI. Kate, go. Tomorrow, demonstration. Kate, go. So you are a journalist. You don't have, apart from the journalists who major in specific areas, most journalists are journalists. So it is up to the communicators to explain the issues to them in such a way that they will be able to understand and transmit exactly what you're going to say, especially in today's world where people are speaking Twi. So if you speak English or Ga or Ewe, if you speak English and you are not clear, you are not accurate, it's not easily translatable, it leaves room for interpretation, then you know what you're doing to yourself. In the same vein, you need to be accurate. Don't come and say approximately, whatever. If you can't be accurate, be accurate. If you approximate to the nearest, highest, or lowest, value. And then you must be accessible. Be accessible and be transparent. There are some people, they are accessible to the extent that if they are sleeping, you call them. There's a joke about this MP who was called and was sleeping. And you remember that MP? And the person was snoring. And I don't know why their brain told them that they should speak. And so the person on the other side was asking questions. And he was talking about, and it's on radio. And the way they trolled him, over accessibility, for what? And sometimes too, if you don't know the thing, you don't know. I mean, so this morning like this, people were calling me about a statement we had issued. I realized that I had made a mistake with, well, I hadn't made a mistake, but they had given me a different theme, and then the theme had changed. They kept calling me. I kept wasting their time because I wasn't going to say anything that was going to put my name into disrepute. And then MPs must be accountable. The only way members of parliament can be accountable to there are 30,000, 40,000 members in constituencies. Now, the member of parliament can't go to all these people. That is why you use the media. So if, let's say, Yendi is talking about something on the floor of the house, as a good RA, you organize the media, whether it's new or old, whether you are using your phone, which is also a form of media, to make the information go out so that the people will know that the 10 cities that was given to them or the whatever that was given to them, this is how they used it. This issue that they said, come and talk about, this is how, this KTC defense issue that they said, come and talk about, this is what I said, and this is what was responded to. And PN Africa does a lot of work in that view. When they finish, and we used to do that in the 7th Parliament too, when they finish this, you will find that they will do like infographics, and they will take snippets of what was said, and then they will post it on all the relevant media. It gives you an idea of what is happening. It is a very, very relevant tool that you should talk about. And relationship building, I mean, you know that. If you have a journalist that you can call, if your MP is coming, cry, you can call them. Charlie, my MP is coming. Before you realize, cut away shots like 10. He's on TV every day. And there are some MPs who are key. Some of them, because we've had relationships, if I am editing or something, if I see Jifa Gumashi, I'll definitely use them. If I see an MP who is my friend, I'll definitely use. That's not to say that I select my friends, but it's easier to use a familiar face. And Sami made reference to using places that you are accepted and comfortable at. So make sure that you know the right people. Some of you, standing orders, you don't have. Not because you have not been given or you've been giving, but because you don't know Kate. But somebody will come and Kate, give me the standing orders. The last one I have, the person will stand on me and collect it. Building relationships, it's key. And then don't say something if you know that you don't want it to be published, whether on air or in the newspapers. You go and say something, say, man, can't say unpublished. If you don't want it out, don't say it. It's important that you keep that. And then respond very quickly. Something has happened in the morning. Instead of you to respond, people are doing news on the hour. You will wait and let the matter travel, and they will insult the MP. And then 2 or 3 days later, you come and write rejoinder. Who is going to read that rejoinder? When the sensationalism has already gone, or something has happened and is online, you don't do anything about it. Meanwhile, you are holding the phone the whole day. Do something. Every 30 minutes, 1 hour, check, see what is happening with your MP, see what the hashtags are doing, and make sure that you are part of it. And then listen. Because the thing about communications, when you draw the communication cycle, it's a cycle. At the end of the cycle, it goes back to where you started from. And at the beginning and the end, one is giving the information, the other is taking the information. So listening and talking, intertwined. If you don't listen, you won't even know how to set your agenda, how to spin your stories, and how to even frame issues. And these are key things that you need to do in communications. If you want tomorrow, you want a woman to get a training from PN Africa, you need to set the agenda and put it in the frame that women are marginalized in parliament, there's only 20 of them on each side. Then you are framing the story. But if you yourself, you are not listening, you are not aware of anything, how will you be able to frame the agenda? So it's key that we do that and then get to the point. There's no point in winding and giving long. Hey, it's not necessary. No serious communications person does that. A serious communications person, good morning, thank you for having me on this issue, this, and on that issue, that. If it is a social program, yes. If it's a politician talking and they want to play to the gallery, they can do that. But if you are a serious person dealing with issues and you are not playing, you are not trying to woo numbers, why would you come in? You don't need to do that. And then keep calm. Journalists will wind you. They will wind. They know that what they are doing is not correct. but they will be doing it only for you to say something, and then the thing gets out of hand. Sometimes because they also have political colors, and that also comes into play. And then once you are transparent, it helps, because if you are telling the truth, you don't need to worry about a version that you've told already. It will come back to you. You have to understand your audience. There are some audience who are easier to deal with. There are some audience that are not so easy to deal with. So which particular station are you talking to? The same way you talk to City, you won't talk to Adum. You understand? If the program is at 10 a.m., there's a different group of people listening. If it's at 6 p.m., it's possible that your father and speaker will be listening. So you manage yourself small. If it is in the, if it's in the constituency, then you can do the Mechiama, all those things that people do. But if it's on a national platform, you manage. So depending on the audience that you are dealing with, you manage yourself. And this is for when it's radio. Now, when it is television, or when it's visual, whether it's online or whatever, there are colors that you don't wear. For instance, red is a color that you want to avoid if the matter you are going to talk about is something that is emotional, that could get people annoyed. Because then it will be interpreted that you are annoyed. If you're wearing white, sometimes if it's TV, the edges become blurred. So then if the matter, if you yourself, you don't have a strong personality, you get swallowed in the message and nobody will even listen to you. If you are wearing blue, you have to check if it's a TV station. Is the psyche they are using blue? If it's blue, it will swallow you. So you are not just doing, what do you call it? Going there, they say, me and my MP, or my MP has been invited. The MP is coming. It's going to, let's say, a place like GBC, where they use a blue psyche. It's wearing a blue shirt. Do you understand? Sometimes if you meet a nice producer, they will tell you. But if you meet a producer who doesn't have time, your MP will go. You see, sometimes you see that there are some, I don't know what to call them, blurred edges. It's because of the psyche. Oh, so me, I don't wear white on TV because I know what it will do. And I know the colors that flatter me, and I use them. And depending on what I want to say, I use a particular color. Today, for instance, I wanted to wear a very beautiful red dress. I had something in the morning that was a bit emotive. I decided that I'm not going to wear it because I don't want to look angry. So all those things are important. Don't mislead. Don't mislead. When you say they are MP, what you do is that, or you don't know the thing. Oh, let me get back to you on it. It's better than misleading because the other side will come and refute what you're saying. And then encourage public input in your MP's work. Nowadays, communications has become like an octopus way. It's no longer even two-way. So when you post something, encourage input. That's the only way that you will know what people are thinking, and then you'll be able to facilitate your MP's work. Keep an open door. Open door policy works all the time because that's the only way you also hear information. That's the only way your MP builds, what do you call it, a goodwill with people. And then we've spoken about transparency, we're talking about being prepared already. And then when to use what vehicles. Remember we spoke about the traditional and the non-traditional, the new and the old. Sometimes it's important to use certain vehicles. Sometimes it's not. And choosing the appropriate communications tool is key. For instance, there's a time when we went to Nadoli, Yele Church, I don't know, just next to the, after Nadoli, you have another constituency. What's the Yele Church constituency? Sorry? Wild West, where former Yele Church. You know, we went there. When we were going there, we took a lot of things, including hard copies of standing votes and proceedings and agenda and other educational materials. The most relevant vehicle we had that time was the hard copy. They were not interested in the videos and the pictures we were giving them. They wanted something that is hard. For those people, you use traditional media. So you identify your target audience, and then you know what to give them. They want to see newspaper. My mother, if she sees something in newspaper, no matter what it is, she believes it. My clerk to Parliament, he would rather see an announcement in the paper than see it on social media that has got, maybe I post something and within 30 minutes, we have 200 hits. And he wants to see daily guide. And I'm thinking, but that's the audience you have. So you prepare for them. Then you consider the message that you are going to send. Remember, I was speaking about the privileges, appointments, and those things. Sometimes the message is such that you need a particular tool. Sometimes it's best that the message comes from the mouth of the person delivering it. In that case, you use an electronic media. Sometimes the message is best delivered if it is written. In that case, you write it. Sometimes the message is best delivered if it is in pictures. They say words say one thing or something, and pictures say a million things. So pictures are also important. Now evaluate the reach that the tool you are using will give you. If I use this media, will I be able to reach the people that I am trying to reach? For instance, if I'm using social media, where people I'm looking for, do they have access to internet? Will they be able to see it in the time that I want them to see it? If I'm using print media, will it reach them? Will it not be dead news when it reaches them? When I'm looking for evidence, will I be able to use the evidence because somebody can manipulate electronic or online sources? These are things that you have to consider in determining what reach you are using and who you are seeking to reach, in fact. So this goes on to talk about the print media, television and radio, and then social media. And I placed emphasis on social media because that's the tool that most of you are using at the moment. So let's go to, we'll go to the social media, but I also explained when to use what. And I said that in crisis situations, always use the fastest means because you don't have the luxury of time. So when there is a crisis, when you need to communicate really quickly and really fast, use electronic media. So for instance, I keep using my work as an example. Yesterday, I needed to do a release. I forgot to do it. Today was Monday. I needed it to go. The fastest means was electronic. So I put it online before I even reached the people who will do the newspapers. So use that. It is a way that it shows that you are also abreast with the times, and is also able to reach different categories of people. So let's say, even in the social media space, you know that if you use Twitter, your mother will go there. And you know that Twitter, the streets are hot. So if you go and put something there, they might fry you. But if you take it to social media, if you take it to Facebook, the streets are a little gentler. The older people are there. They thank God I'm 50 and all those people, we are there. So you come there. But if you are looking for people to reach, find the various routes. So let's say in your constituency, you are trying to send a message. 18-year-olds, put them in one category. Decide where you're taking them. 35 to 50, put them in one category. Put the same message there. 60 to 70, put them in one category. Put the message there. That way, you've covered all the areas. And in the format and language that they understand. So don't go and put infographics at an audience that does not understand infographics. So if the 50 to 60 group understand text, put text there. If the 18 to 25 people are more likely to be attracted to infographics or TikTok messages, use that so that you are able to reach them. That is very, very important. So some of the tips for using social media effectively. First of all, have a strategy. You can decide that I'm posting at every 7 p.m. or at every 2 p.m. Don't just be doing knee-jerk things. If you decide that every 2 hours I'm posting, but you are checking, no. It doesn't mean that if you are posting 2 hours, if Jesus is coming on the thing, you are waiting for the 2 hours. But what you are doing is that at every time, you know that 4 o'clock, Abbas is likely to post something. Saturdays, Abbas and his boss are likely to go live for 20 minutes. You know, it gives you predictability and it makes your page grow easier. Also, be authentic and engaging. Some people will ask questions, answer them. On my personal page, if I get 1 million questions, I answer them. Answer them. Make sure that you are speaking to the people. They are feeling a part of you. If it's somebody's birthday, wish them happy birthday if you can. Respond to comments and messages. And use visuals and multimedia. So you are mixing things. Sometimes you are using pictures. Sometimes you are using sound. Sometimes you are using, you know, very, very subtle pieces of message. So you find an advert on a billboard in UK, and it says, what exactly is the benefit of doubt? It's for a specific audience. Or they use a lot of imagery to deliver messages. Know who you're dealing with and know what message to give to them. Consistency, we spoke about that again. Monitor and then analyze the results of your posts. Don't just dump the thing there, then tomorrow you come and dump another one there and dump another one there. Your boss had a situation where she had gone to a function and had a Facebook page post like a year or two ago. Then something happened when they did their Congress, and then one party won. They went and brought their photos and the video, and it matched. So I called and said, Jifa, I'm seeing that this is going to Kate. This is what I said, my friend, go back there and go and resolve it. And she went there and resolved it. Do you understand? So it's important that every time your eye is on the ball. Don't lose the ball, because that's the thing that you need to follow. And then follow social media best practice. You know that there are some words that if you use, you will go to social media jail. Don't use it. They kill. Sometimes even if you use BEAT, B-E-A-T, they will take you to social media jail. So know the protocols there and use them. Remember your P's and your Q's. Please, thank you, all the time. And then once you've done all these things, you do what they call monitoring. Don't dump the thing there and leave it. At all times, make sure that your eye is on what you're doing. What are they saying? Based on what they are saying, what can I function? What other policies or programs can I fashion out of what is being said? Once you do that, you'll be able to always have something for your member of parliament to do, and then you also be busy. For instance, sometimes your Difa likes dancing, you do a dance, you find that you find that everybody's talking about it. When you go to your outreach program, so this is how everything is intertwined. When you go to your outreach program when the elections are coming, and you see that people respond a lot to the dancing thing, one afternoon, hire a payloader, put speakers on, dance. See how many votes you get. It's called soft skill. So it's not every day that you'll be forcing your MP to mount a podium, that thing, the platform, and the message that sings is the message that is not very, very in your face like that. So somebody likes football. Honorable Haruna, in his constituency, they use football a lot. Somebody likes dance. Honorable, the former first deputy speaker, Freddie Blay, used music a lot. Somebody likes education. So you find that Joe Wise, Honorable Joe Wise, uses reading in his constituency. Somebody likes Honorable Zanato, she uses medical outreach. So these are different tools that you are using. But you are monitoring, so that you are determining that when we did this, this is what we got. When we did this, this is what we got. Then you maximize your benefits from it. How can you monitor? You can monitor by using Google Alerts, so that when they mention your name, it pops up. So you can do that. You can also subscribe to media monitoring services. There are some media monitoring services that are not too expensive, and they will do all the monitoring and analysis for you. We used to use a certain lady called Dorcas. She's very good at that. They do all the analysis for you. So they tell you that in the last month, Parliament got mentioned 20 times, and the 20 times, 5 of them was positive, 7 of them was not so positive, 2 was not even related to Ghana Parliament. When you do that for your MP, they know what they are doing already. It makes their lives easier. Planning becomes easier. Work for the next, because as soon as you win one election, you are looking at winning the next election. So all these things are things that will guide you or will propel you to your next election. Of course, you regularly search online news sources, social media platforms, and other sources of media for coverage, and make sure that you are there. If you are not there, why are you not there? If you are there for bad reasons, you should be there for good reasons. And if you are there for good reasons, you should be there for better reasons. So be accurate, be prepared, know that what you're doing today will determine the success of your MP or otherwise of your MP. And the Fourth Republic, the third Parliament, we used to say something, that if you think democracy is expensive, try the alternative and see how expensive that is. And this is where I draw the curtains. and thank you, and wait for your comments, suggestions, and whether you think what I've said is anything that will be of benefit to you. So.
Please, thank you very much. Is it good to have a media platform for your MP? No, like you have a WhatsApp page where you have some selected media houses. So when there is an issue, you just drop it there, and then they pick it. And if they want clarification, they either call you or they call the MP. Is it good? And how do you manage when there is conflict within that? Because sometimes there's a scrabble for, I want to carry this. This one said I want to do this. This one said I'm the one who did. After you drop, how do you manage the platform effectively to help your MP?
So you can't say that a person has been favored over another person, and person A has received the information earlier than person B, because you'd have received it in real time. So that works perfectly. Remember when we spoke about the RA's duties in effective office management, one of the things we spoke about was people management and conflict resolution and negotiations. When these types of things happen in that particular space, you employ those skills that you would have learned from, or you would have acquired from practicing or engaging in good office practices, to bear on that particular activity. So somebody says, the information is there. I don't see what they can say. So it is there, signed by the Member of Parliament or the RA in black and white. Daily Guide will choose one angle, depending on their house style. Daily Graphic will choose another angle, depending on their house style. Democrat will do that. Chronicle, all the papers, Peace FM, Adum FM, Unia, all those things, they will all choose different angles, because everybody is working to specific house styles. So once you are clear, your statements, your information on the platform is clear. There are no ambiguities. You are not subject, the thing cannot be subject to 7, 8 different interpretations. Once you avoid that, it is easy for you to make reference to. Have you seen the document? Did you read paragraph 8 of it? If you read paragraph 8 of it, this is what it was referring to. It helps. And if somebody says you've given advantage to anybody, you just say, go to the platform. The story was posted at 2 p.m. and that's when I sent the story. If you accessed it at 8 p.m., it would not be my problem. You see? So having a platform like that is good. Managing it will require conflict resolution skills, will require people skills, will require generally being able to carry people along with you. Because at the end of the day, you don't want too many conflicts on the platform. What you want is for them to carry your message. But in carrying your message, you don't want to coerce them. And you don't want it to seem like you are forcing them to carry your message. Make them own the message. And that's why we say that when you are interactive with the media and you discuss issues with them, and it's not just you pumping information to them, but you giving them information and taking information from them to determine what your next movements are, it is easier for them. Because when they make reference to their engagement with you, they will remember that at point B, we discussed the issue, and this is what person A said, this is what person B said, and this is what informed this. So it makes everything relatively easier. Next, moving on, yeah.
Thank you very much. My question has got to do with, there are some of us who are not very much involved in constituency activities. And so when it comes to managing your boss's communication through the media, it becomes somewhat difficult because you don't know what is happening on the ground. So how do we go about it? Yeah. And then I have a second one as well. Using social media opens you up to a large number of people, and sometimes the messages that come are sometimes violent or, yes, abusive. And then also you receive all sorts of direct messages, mostly asking for direct help, and engaging with people as we are supposed to. How do you manage it? Do you respond to every request? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, Abbas made reference to the first thing that I think Abbas's question is in line with the question that you're asking when we did the first presentation. The constituency activities. In fact, I think that good RAs usually don't even spend too much time, politicking, because they would be so busy putting concept papers and policy documents together that they would leave the actual day-to-day dirty getting hands dirty work to other groups of people. So having a balance, knowing who the MP is working with when he goes to the constituency, and understanding the itinerary, and being added them on the same level with them helps, to the extent that if your MP is going to the constituency on Friday, you should know the people that are there, so that if you are looking for him or her, you'll be able to contact them. These same people are the book and tell you that when MP came to the constituency, these are the issues that came up, or these are the things that we did. And based on that, baby steps. I get the feeling that some of you are not particularly on everyday basis with your principals, which are your MPs, which is fine. But if that is the case, then you take baby steps to building a relationship where they will come to depend on you, and when they are going somewhere, they will tell you that, yeah, may call her. It takes time, especially if they don't know you, because trust is a very important part of this job. You don't want to expose yourself. And again, one of the things cardinal that I forgot to mention is the fact that trust is key. The MP cannot afford one slip. One slip. Because one slip can lead to a whole lot of things. I was just coming from the appointments committee, and I was playing with one of the MPs, and he was making gesticulations, and we're taking photographs. When we finished, he said, oh, let's delete the photos. Initially, I was saying that, no. But on second thought, I said to the cameraman, delete it, because it may not be you, but it will be somebody else mistakenly, knowingly, unknowingly, putting the pictures in the wrong hands. Then everything gets out of hand. You're sitting in the office. Your boss is talking about a particular issue. Small will pass through your ears. Go home. That is the topic they are talking. When you do that, and somehow these things have a way of getting back to the MP. And I say, they will ask you. Yesterday, my sister was asking me that, won't I go to the airport to go and receive Christian Achus? But I said, are you crazy? Our relatives have a different idea of what we are doing. So if we ourselves don't position ourselves properly and earn the trust of our constituents, of our MPs, they will not tell us anything. So that answers your question about the constituency activities. First of all, know the people there, make sure you are in contact with them, earn their trust so they can tell you things, but most importantly, earn your MP's trust so that once in a while, he or she will take you. Then before you realize, they are taking you every day. There's a person in my office, Mustafa. He started as an RE. Today, I even borrowed his MP's car from him, because what started as a working relationship has become a family relationship. So it takes time and trust, but you will get there. Also, social media. Ask him whether he knows an individual who's been insulted more on social media for things they didn't do than me. Random things, then people will start insulting for something that sometimes they shouldn't talk about. But what you do is keep a level head. There are some that you shouldn't respond to. When they say engage, you are using the reasonable man, principle here. what is reasonable is what you do. It doesn't mean that if the thing is not reasonable because they said engage, then you are engaging. Oh, if a comment is not reasonable, you delete it. On the Parliament page, we've got to the point where we've put a disclaimer on that, look, be respectful of each other's views. If you're not respectful of me, I delete things first class. I am the one who posts the things on. And I'm not saying go and tell people that it's K2 post. If I see that you are insulting, unless I don't see it, I will delete you. I'm getting to the point where I'll start even blocking some people. Do you understand? Because you can't come on a platform like that and be verbally abusive. But sometimes people do that because they don't understand. If I'm in a very good mood, I go to a person's DM and I say, you know, this issue you are talking about is this and that and that. The next day, when they come, or when they comment again, you realize that their tone has changed. But this is not a job for one person. You need a team. You need like a whole team to be doing that. So there's a team that's dedicated to media. And one of their duties is making sure that they are engaging positively with the people in the social media space. In terms of making personal requests, it has just translated from the physical to the virtual. Because before they would pick vehicles and come here. Now they've seen that it's easier to ask online. And so it's the same principle. And it's because 2 or 3 factors account for that. It's the culturalization of our politics. The way we are as Africans, as Ghanaians, will be a penia or share ninkwala. So even in my small capacity, Friday, my people are expecting that I will do something. If somebody is in trouble, they are expecting that I should be able to come through. And that's how we translate to our political leaders. Because when you look at our chieftaincy system, what happened with our chieftaincy system is that the chiefs were like the welfare officers. You see, so when you're hungry, you went to the chief's house, you would eat. By the same token, the MP is the opinion in the constitution. So if I can go to the chief's house and go and eat, why can't I go to the MP's house to go and eat? But does that make political sense? No. Education. We will get there. So there are some things that you can help with. There are some things that you can't help with. Those that you can't help with, you tell them, oh, I will not be able to, we will not be able to, at this point, assist you with this. But if at some point in time, our circumstances change and we can be of help to you, then we will help. Do you understand? Or you can point them to maybe aid agencies and things like that. Or if it's PN Africa, who can give them whatever they are looking for. Because I hear PN Africa nowadays, they have a lot of money. And influence, which is more important than money anyhow. So those are the issues that you want to look at. Anybody else? Okay. In the absence of any further questions or interrogations, I'd like to thank you for your attention and beg to leave you to continue your day's deliberations.
Right. Another big round of applause for Kate. In fact, we are wrapping up. We're done with the day. So, and for me, the exciting thing is about how many of the concepts that we discussed in the first part also, appeared in director's presentation, although she was not here at the time that presentation, which emphasizes the importance of some of these issues, making yourself relevant so that your MP will take you seriously, whether it is about dealing with the media, or whether it's about dealing with civil society, or whether it's about supporting their work. These things do matter. Matters relating to ensuring that, engagement goes on smoothly and well, being analytical, managing things properly. I think it's been a fantastic day. And whereas we have gone past the advertised closing time, which is 1 p.m., of course, we started a couple minutes late. And so that also had accounted for that. We will not want to keep you too much waiting. 2 quick announcements, or 3 quick announcements. The first is that, as announced earlier on, there are very many opportunities available for you, your offices with civil society. We are more than happy to engage. Please feel free to reach out to any of the PN Africa team members, myself included, and we'll be more than happy to support you in that. Particularly for the areas for female MPs, under the GAP project, you have these direct engagement and opportunities for statements, for town hall meetings in your constituencies and what have you, just like we have discussed. Number two, this is an ongoing process. We look forward to better and further engagement with you on other platforms. Like we said, all of these things that have been presented by Auntie Kate, myself, these are not things that are lumped together in a 4-hour, half-day session. You know, it's multiple days, but of course, we needed to give you bits and pieces of that. We'll look at avenues and opportunities to have a more, you know, this thing was developed for a boot camp kind of thing, multiple days boot camp kind of thing, so that more people can engage more effectively with it. Finally, because of timing and all of that also, our lunch is conveniently packed, you know, so that you can be able to move out directly on that. The team members on the outside would do well to take care of that. I would want to, on behalf of the team, thank you all very much for
come to the Public Affairs Department or to any other department that you need help from and get help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. Please. So come and get help. I'll be happy to assist you. There's nothing.
So help exists, you know, avail yourself, look for it, go find it, whether it's within the parliamentary space for the ones that Parliament would offer, or outside of the parliamentary space for the ones that Parliament will not offer. And I understand from the team that we'll have post-meeting evaluation forms circulated to you virtually so that you can be able to give us feedback. It's very important to us in designing future, you know, engagements. Anything else, Joanna? That's about it. Okay. So thank you so very, very much. We enjoyed your company. For those of you who do not have too much workload there, we can still engage here while this is over. But we'll take a group photograph. Auntie Kate, you join us in that. And then, John, can we? So we'll all come forward and then we'll take a group photo.